As the sun sets, Chaos left the tropical hotel after taking a shower and eating. This time Chaos had a great meal, because all the pirates in the hall watched him carefully. The attention of being adored by fear is really cool. The feeling of envy, jealousy, and inability to get rid of it is very fluttering. Chaos's empty, lonely, cold heart was filled. The fame thing is a good thing. Back in the mountain stream, Chaos saw and heard the color. The golden coffin in the cave flew out, and opened automatically in front of Chaos. The Madara Horsekiller was no longer glaring or resentful, on the contrary, he was calm and calm. He gave up. The gold chain and the 1-meter thick gold coffin on his body really cannot be opened. Don't want to struggle anymore. But the next moment the golden coffin and chains flowed, Madara Horsekiller's calm expression changed. What do you mean? Regaining his freedom, the Madara Horsekiller not only was not happy, but stared at Chaos very vigilantly. Is this guy trying to unload the mill and kill the donkey to kill him? Chaos hugged his shoulders and fell backwards. The coffin and the chain merged into a golden seat, suspended 3 feet off the ground in the air. Chaos sat on it with his legs upright and a bit of narcissistic fluttering hair in front of his forehead. My golden emperor came out and talked about a letter. Said that as long as you learn to see, hear, and let you go, then let you go. You are free now. The Madara Horsekiller whispered. He was a little relieved, he should be happy. But when I saw Chaos's narcissistic and arrogant look, I didn't know why I was a little angry. This guy doesn't take him seriously. You will regret this. Confirm the look in his eyes. Madara Horsekiller doesn't plan to wash away the shame now, leaving a word of cruel words that quickly disappeared in the mountain stream. Finally escaped from birth, this guy dared to let him go so easily. There must be something to rely on. Do you think you can't see it? Snort, doomed to miscalculate. He will not be fooled. It's like being chased by a ghost. Chaos was disdainful. Madara's Horsekiller's speed was extraordinary, and the oil on the soles of his feet disappeared in the blink of an eye. The reason why he let go of the Madara Horsekiller, apart from saying a letter, is not worried that the Madara Horsekiller will come to avenge in the future. It is not that Chaos is arrogant, but he is confident that he can win once and win the second time. In addition to being arrogant and high profile, life also needs a little setback and trouble. Who can become a strong person in everything, which one cannot be made with real swords and guns and possesses the charm of his own personality? Chaos has high demands on himself. What he pursues is a sense of spiritual and soul leveling, and the compelling standard must be high and distinctive. Boom. In the first half of the Grand Line, on a turbulent sea, a warship was chasing a pirate ship. At this moment, the pirate ship was panicking, and many pirates on it were full of fear. Damn it, how come you met the crazy dog Sakazuki? The captain of the pirate regiment looked ugly at the warship behind him with cold sweat on his forehead. If it is another Marine Rear Admiral, he will go up and kill without saying a word. But now Logia Rear Admiral, 3 of Marine's rookies, is chasing him, or Sakazuki, who is notoriously more fierce than the pirate. The pirate who is targeted by this mad dog has no second end except for a dead end. There is no chance even to go to jail. Compared to the other 2 Marine rookies, this guy like a mad dog is jealous and hateful, and there is no sand in his eyes. To catch a pirate is to kill. Kill, kill, kill. Kill or kill. The key is a group of strong combat power. Although it is currently Rear Admiral, the combat power is already comparable to those of Marine Vice Admiral. Sakazuki Rear Admiral, we just received the news that the Bloodthorn pirates are in Magic Valley Town. The surrounding grenades continued to explode on the sea. A correspondent Marine, holding a phone worm in his hand, was wet by splashing seawater and ran to the bow. He looked admiringly at the hand-wrapped shoulders, wearing a Justice Marine hat, wearing a Marine hat. In the red shirt, he opened his arms to reveal the rose tattoo on his right shoulder, and he stared sharply at the man in the pirate ship ahead. Let the warship turn around to Demon Valley Town. Sakazuki's eyes were cold, leaving a word and disappearing on the bow. When he appeared, he was already 10 meters away in the air, stepping on the moonwalk and quickly flew to the pirate ship. Captain, the mad dog rushed up. Shoot and shoot lousy. Hurry up. All the pirates panicked, and various shells and bullets were aimed at Sakazuki. But these couldn't be stopped at all. The naked eyes could see that those shells and bullets passed through Sakazuki's body and splashed a piece of magma, dripping into the sea and making a chuckle. Even if it was an explosion, it was useless. Damn it. For those with Logia ability, it's useless to attack. Sakazuki flew out of the gunpowder smoke and drew out the long knife behind his right hand. There was a fierce look on the face of the wicked villain, and he waved in the air at the pirate ship. In the next moment, The bright slash flew out, tearing the air apart and separating the sea. The pirates on the deck were all pale, rushing to the sea to escape the disaster. Destroying the destruction, the entire pirate ship was split in half, and fire and black smoke rose into the sky. Sakazuki stepped on the moonwalk and looked down at the pirates who were struggling in the sea. The red lava in his left hand began to splash, ignoring the fear of the pirates, begging for mercy and punched out. Great eruption. A giant lava fist the size of a villa, wrapped in hot mist, tore through the eardrum, and landed on the sea in one fell swoop. The huge explosion overturned in an instant, and the sea surface was sunken in a radius of 500 meters. The entire pirate ship and some pirates disappeared. A large amount of steam spread around, and the sea bubbling like boiling water. Sakazuki put away the long knife. His ferocious face was completely indifferent, and he easily killed more than 50 lives, just like trampling on an ant, without any fluctuations. Another one without staying. On the warship that had already turned around, many Marines sighed with their binoculars. The whole Marine knows that as long as you follow Sakazuki Rear Admiral to perform the task, there is no oil or water at all. All the pirate groups encountered were ship destroyed and killed, and one would never survive. This means that no money will be available on the pirate ship. Although it is easy to follow Sakazuki Rear Admiral, the battle is often solved before it starts, but if you don't get some oil and water when you go out to sea, isn't it just a trip for nothing? Every time you go to sea on this mission, you can say that you pin your head to your waistband, and you will become a martyr at any time. Marine with a family not only sticks to the justice in his heart, but also takes into account many things. In case you were accidentally captured by a pirate, don't think that Sakazuki Rear Admiral will come to the rescue. He will take the pirate away in a wave. The seaman who humiliated Marine was dead in Sakazuki's eyes. But even this does not prevent Marine worshipping Sakazuki. Still very fanatical. Sakazuki Rear Admiral. Sakazuki stepped on the moonwalk to catch up with the warship and landed on the deck. His face was not flushed or panting, and his complexion was as calm as ever, and there was a suffocation just standing there. How long does it take to go to Magic Valley Town? Almost a day. Slow. Sakazuki frowned, and the surrounding air seemed to become heavy. We will speed it up. The seamen standing beside him were straight and serious. Call me again when you arrive. All the pirate ships encountered in the middle are destroyed. There is no need to report. Yes. Seeing the back disappeared in the cabin, the surrounding Marines breathed a sigh of relief. Hey. Hey. Is that gold? Damn. There are so many, not even a trace of impurities. Who is this guy? He swayed so much gold in Demon Valley Town. It's so extravagant, even using gold as armor? It's the Golden Emperor. No wonder it's so arrogant. The Golden Emperor's ability is suspected of manipulating metals. The Lion King Gappa, Madara Horsekiller, and Camel Tepieru were defeated and killed by the Golden Emperor. In Demon Valley Town, the streets caused a huge sensation at this moment. All the pirates were greedy, staring at the golden figure walking in the sun. Chaos is now very high profile, turning all the gold in the mountain stream into battle armor. The texture is clearly carved with dragons and other patterns. It is almost 5 meters high in it. It does not appear bloated at all. On the contrary, it is tall and straight, striding forward in an unbeatable pace. The sound of metal collision between walking is even more powerful. Carrying a giant golden sword on his back, it is simply a moving golden mountain. On the whole, he is wise and martial, full of luxury, and more importantly, he has a kingly demeanor. In addition to greed, there are many obscure desires in the eyes of the girl pirate. This fancy look is carefully crafted by Chaos. He now initially possesses high profile and arrogant strength, so why conceal it? He had a showdown. Don't install it anymore. That low-key is not in line with his temperament. As for the trouble, he was eager to come home automatically, just in time to exercise his knowledge. Even if he doesn't come, he will cause trouble. There is only one word in life. Do it. Haong. Chaos walked on the street with a cold face, greeted with a pair of greedy and jealous eyes, and his heart was refreshed. This kind of high-profile feeling is too top-notch. I care if you are the Golden Emperor or the Golden Fart, I want the gold on your body. Chaos's swagger was just like him, who was flamboyant and undressed, showing that he was hooking people. Who can stand this so much? There were a lot of fierce pirates jumping out on the spot, their eyes hot as saying, they could not wait to put Chaos into their body. That is a very possessive love. We laughed. Haha, the gold is mine. With so much gold, there are at least 3 billion Baileys. In the face of many attacks, Chaos put his hands on his shoulders and his face was indifferent. It's really an interesting moan. Behind the golden giant sword lifted into the sky, standing on top of the head shining golden light, quickly divided into 18 golden long swords, shot out like bullets. All the pirates who charged up, the greedy complexion suddenly changed. Puff. Ah. Help. Shoo. A sharp weapon pierced into the flesh and blood, and the screams of panic made the needle fall in the whole street audible. The stone pavement bursts one after another, the pungent and bloody smell is floating in the air, and 18 golden long swords are nailed to the ground in the eye, and under each one is a corpse. Some have not completely died yet, and are constantly struggling. Chaos didn't move a step from start to finish. He folded his hands on his shoulders and looked down at the audience. Many of the inactive pirates looked away and did not dare to look at them. There is arrogant strength. Some pirates who offer a reward of the 10 million level are not the scum pirates who are dizzy. Such a pirate who rushes out to be the first bird, and has no strength yet, even if he grabs the gold, he will make a wedding dress for others. Destined to be cannon fodder that will not survive a minute. Emperor Golden? Remember. Too arrogant generally won't live long. Is there any purpose for bringing so much gold on purpose? I'm afraid it won't be long before the entire Demon Valley town will know that the Golden Emperor carries more than 3 billion Baileys worth of gold. What does this guy want to do? In secret, many pirates frowned. No matter how they looked at the Golden Emperor, they were looking for death. But the Golden Emperor does not seem to be mentally retarded. However, it can be expected that the next Magic Valley town will definitely not be so peaceful, and there will be many good scenes in the evening. The Golden Emperor must be the central position. Gold worth more than 3 billion Baileys is not a small amount. The smelly blood converged and flowed into the sewer along the cracks in the stone slabs, and Chaos walked towards the tropical hotel in the greedy eyes of various ghosts on both sides of the street. As soon as he entered the hall, all eyes from inside and outside were projected. Chaos enjoyed it, and it was also very pleasant. Reached up and raised the broken hair in front of his forehead, walked to the smoking boss. Don't mind if I continue to stay in the shop. The smoking boss tapped his cigarette stick, looking at the greedy or playful gazes outside the door. The corners of his mouth couldn't help but smoke. If you keep this guy, you will never have a good life at night. Boss. What are you still hesitating? Leave him, and when we add some medicine to the food in the evening, we can take the gold as our own. Tracy on one side was drooling. Her eyes were full of golden light, and she wailed in fear that others would not hear her. Trace, we are not a black shop. Smoking bosses hate iron but not steel. How can this kind of thing be said in the public, and a business sign that has been careless for more than 10 years is smashed? Boom. As if he hadn't heard it, Chaos moved his mind and slammed a pile of basketball-sized solid gold on the counter, as if he had lost a pile of shit, and his face was full of expressions of contempt for the poor. Enough for you to renovate this store. Make a deal. The smoking boss spit out the smoke and smiled on his wrinkled face. Both sides know that the store may be in ruins after tonight. The gold of Chaos is equivalent to temporarily buying this shop, and the smoking boss just used it to renovate or rebuild it. Everyone understands it. Boy. I hope I can see you tomorrow. Holding almost 300 caddies of gold, the smoking boss looked at Chaos, planning to go to another property to sleep tonight. When people are old, take care of them. If 10 years in advance, he would definitely prescribe medicine. Chaos casually waved his hand and went straight upstairs. It must be exciting tonight, but what he played was the heartbeat. Life is not a tightrope, it is not life. As the sun sets, red clouds hovering along the horizon. Dusk has come. Around the tropical hotel, there are more ghosts in their hearts. As for the smoking boss, Tracy, Spike, and Chef Bud, the four had slipped early. I heard that when I went to another real estate, I was besieged and killed by 100 people, but the one who lay in the end was the 100 people. As for the smoking boss, the 4 bosses were still alive and holding gold and went away. Captain, shall we do it? In the southern part of Demon Valley town, a tavern is brightly lit, and many pirates are drinking, and it can be seen that they are in the same group. The Octopus Pirate Group is one of the pirate groups that cannot be provoked in Demon Valley town, just because the captain of this pirate group is the Octopus Madman Rotes with a reward of 150 million, which is a real reward of hundreds of millions. And there are many people who offer tens of millions of rewards. Not in a hurry. On the first table, a funny man in a clown costume grinned with a penetrating smile. The darkness of the night had begun to shroud, and a figure suddenly appeared on a house. With the help of the weak moonlight, it could be seen that it was a man wearing aristocratic clothes, a cross necklace on his neck, short yellow hair, and a spiral sword hanging from his waist. In another tavern, there are also many pirates making noise. This night, it is destined to not be peaceful. An undercurrent surging in half of Demon Valley town. As the night darkened, many pirates had gathered on this street in the light and in the dark, and their eyes were all in the tropical hotel. The whole hotel was black and light, and only one room was lit up, because Chaos was not only the owner and waiter, but the other tenants and pirates also left during the day. At this time, in the luxurious room, Chaos looked at the various reward orders in his hand. There were many pirates offering rewards of more than 50 million, even at the level of hundreds of millions. These reward newspapers were requested by Chaos when the smoking boss left. Chaos is arrogant to death, it is sure to be arrogant, he is prepared and has a bottom in his heart. If it's too powerful, don't hesitate to bugger. After tonight, I will definitely become famous. Sitting cross-legged on the boat, Chaos squeezed his chin and looked at these reward orders. This game is looking forward to it. All he wants is to die. Enjoying the process of publicity and stimulation can make him burst into blood. 3 years and 5 months, but he was suffocated. The lights are out. Almost 10 minutes later, as the only light disappeared, many pirates around the hotel showed grinning smiles in the dark. Those greedy eyes were as green and secluded as a wolf meeting a sheep. That's the Black Cat Pirate Group. There is a reward of 5.2 million on board, and all crossings add up to 10 million. These little guys are just going to die. These idiots. Many pirates laughed secretly, and these little pirates didn't know where the courage came from. You know that the Golden Emperor can kill even the camel Tepieru, and that is a reward of 79 million. The current captain of the Black Cat Pirate Group can't even compare with others. This is rushed back by greed. Why is there no movement? It's 5 minutes. Don't think about it, I didn't even scream, it must have been seconds. Need some powerful pirates to find the way. 5 minutes later, there was no sound in the hotel, just like a glutton with a big mouth open in the dark, waiting for some people to be arrested automatically. Someone can't help it anymore. It's the poisonous pirate group offering a reward of 48 million. Finally, there is something worthwhile. 5 minutes later. What's the situation? Even the pirates offering a reward of 48 million can't splash in the water. Damn, there will be no traps. The Golden Emperor dares to swagger through the market like this, he must have confidence in his own strength. The third wave. Fourth wave. The fifth wave. The whole street fell into a weird atmosphere. The last pirate who offered a reward of 81 million entered, but there was no splash, and even no fighting took place. Quiet and scary. Many pirates swallowed, even if they made a little noise. Doo-doo. Interesting. Not far away, a group of pirates was sitting on the open field, drinking with such a big fanfare. The manners are a bit funny. The guy in the clown costume showed a toot of laughter, obviously aroused interest. It's the octopus madman Rotes with a reward of 150 million. Wait, that's Sword Hero Cruz. Are you also interested in that gold? Suddenly, there was a noise in the street, which immediately attracted most of his eyes. Not far away, I saw a man wearing aristocratic clothes and a spiral sword hanging from his waist. What the hell does that guy want to do? Don't die here, or how can I wash away the shame? On a house, the Madara Horsekiller withdrew his gaze from the octopus madman Rotes and the swordsman Cruz, and looked up at the dark and hazy tropical hotel, frowning and looking a little ugly. His character is also arrogant, but he has strong self-esteem. Not only the Madara Horsekiller appeared, but also the previous Reaper Thesis, Bloodthorn Pratonite, and even some pirate groups with hundreds of millions of rewards. Boom. Without warning, all the pirates on the street looked back at Chaos's room, where the windows were suddenly opened, and the huge roar was a bit loud at this time. But the next moment they were stunned. I knock F*K, can you give me some strength? Lousy specially put the gold here for you to take, can you fight for me to kill me? One by one, a tortoise is not as good as a woman. A bunch of waste scum. The windows were slammed shut, and needles fell across the street. Some pirates raised their heads in astonishment, and blinked for a while without responding. At this time, Chaos in the room was really angry. After so long, only a few small pirates came up. Those powerful ones didn't see him, and they simply didn't give him face. Fortunately, he was looking forward to it. Damn it, Lousy can't bear it anymore. Too arrogant. Lousy is going to kill him. Brothers charged Lousy and killed the Golden Emperor. The pirates who recovered, all raged and furious. Now the Golden Emperor is the sheep, they are the wolves. But the sheep surrounded by them was even more arrogant and domineering than them. It is simply insulting them mentally. Even a man can't bear it, let alone these hot-tempered pirates who are inhuman and lawless in themselves. This wave of hatred Chaos has successfully evoked. Kill. Lousy is going to smash him into pieces. I have never seen such an arrogant guy. Knock him to death. A large nest of pirates rushed into the hotel, all murderous. It's a pity that the pirates who offered hundreds of millions of rewards still didn't move, but they didn't look good. Such an arrogant person, caught a lot of them on the sea. Those who can live are capable. Still need to wait and see. There are still many smart people. Ah. Help. Boom. Not long after, there were various screams and rain of bullets in the restaurant. Pungent blood mixed with gunpowder smell very pungent. This kind of noise only lasted for a minute. Then it was calm. Some of the pirates who were going to take a shot and pick up the leak, all stopped with their weapons and watched the restaurant. This F*K situation is wrong. Just now, at least 100 people rushed in, offering a reward of several million or even 40 to 50 million, and the result was howling. Gone? It can be seen that the Golden Emperor is a stubborn. Is it finally going to be shot? Sword Hero Cruz. Madara Horsekiller, Reaper, Bloodthorn, Octopus Madman and other pirates all looked at Cruz dressed as a nobleman. This guy is a swordsman. As a lone ranger, he offers a reward of 124 million, but I want to know how strong it is. It's Sword Hero Cruz. The Golden Emperor is dead. That's a swordsman with a reward of 124 million. Hundreds of gazes followed Cruz into the hotel, and many people swallowed subconsciously, and a sense of tension suddenly came up. Crunch, crunch. The sound of big feet stepping on the wooden ladder seemed a little frightening in this dimly bloody restaurant. There were many corpses lying on both sides of the stairs, all the pirates who had rushed in before. The blood gathered together to form a stream of water, dripping continuously along the stairwell, like sewage flowing from under the eaves, with a strong stench. Cruz doesn't change his face, he sees many such scenes. He is now very interested in this Golden Emperor, and of course there is gold. Finally there is a big guy. Chaos saw and heard that the color had already covered the entire hotel, including a part of the street outside, and he could feel a strong aura slowly approaching him. Very stable and fierce, it's like an unsheathed sword, full of oppression. Are you the Golden Emperor? Cruz came upstairs, like an elegant knight. The main entrance of Chaos faces the stairwell, and the door is not closed. At this time, Chaos sat on the golden throne, with Erlang's legs tilted and one hand propped on his chin. His right hand swayed a glass of red wine, and various blood-stained gold weapons were inserted on the surrounding floor. Very arrogant and handsome, Sword Hero Cruz, offering a reward of 124 million. It's not the rubbish anymore. Chaos smiled contemptuously, straightened up and shook his gold mini knife earrings, and flew out with a gold long sword wiping his face behind his back, tearing the air forward. Without a trace of nonsense, Chaos directly did it. Ding puff, Cruz's eyes were sharp, and he turned his head to avoid with a trace of broken hair, and the gold sword was inserted on the wall behind, causing a large swath of sawdust dust. Moan. Almost at the same moment, Cruz pulled out the spiral sword on his waist, and a crescent-shaped sword light instantly cut the door and rushed towards Chaos. Han Guang Lingling could easily cut the rock. Shoo. A golden square painted halberd and a long spear flew out, and the two collided with a huge roar. The entire room was torn in an instant, and the air pressure swept out to shock the pirates outside. Out. It's the Sword Hero Cruz. Run, the building is going to collapse. The pirates who got close backed one after another, and the whole building exploded in the next moment, shooting a handful of golden weapons into the ground from inside, and the sword target shook with the sound of golden leather. Following a bright slashing dive, the aerial scenery appeared in the eyes of all the pirates. Chaos was still sitting on the golden throne, with Erlang's legs tilted, one hand supporting his chin and the other swaying red wine. Around him were handfuls of golden weapons, shining brightly under the light of the moonlight. There are 3 points of arrogance and 4 points of contempt in the expression, and the rest is indifferent. This picture has to be said to be extraordinary and lofty. The whole game was full of platoons inside and out. Many pirates were taken aback. This guy is so handsome. But so angry. Too hateful. Cruz stood on the ground, holding the spiral-long sword in his right hand, looking up at Chaos sitting in the air. His face was gloomy and his eyes were cold. The other side's appearance and actions show that he didn't take him seriously. With fierce sword aura fluttering all over, Cruz raised his hand and waved it in the air, slashing up to the ground in a moment of 1 to 10 meters, tearing the air fiercely. Chaos still looked at everything in contempt. Although he didn't move, the golden weapons falling from the sky around him pointed at Cruz, tearing his eardrums in the next second, and blasted with the sound of breaking through the air. Out. Cruz slightly changed color, and the slash was forcibly offset before it approached, and a golden sword was already close at hand. The spiral-long sword in his hand struck out like lightning, the golden long sword blasted to the ground, and a large amount of gravel and mud exploded in an instant, and a pit with a diameter of 2 or 3 meters appeared. These lacing golden long swords are not only fast but also powerful. Boom. Various golden swords and halberds fired successively, Cruz's calm complexion and figure kept flickering, and the spiral-long sword in his hand flicked from time to time. For a time, the whole street was full of violent smoke and dust. Hand after hand, as if Gatlin was shooting, Cruz unexpectedly greeted the artillery fire. Can only be said to be a swordsman, nor a man offering a reward of 124 million Bailey. Chaos's sword frowned slightly, his mind moved and the 18 weapons that had fallen down all around split once again, and shot at Cruz more intensively and quickly. This time Cruz was forced to stop, because the weapons that he had dodged before were again suspended from behind, forming a weapon storm to signal that it was sweeping. Lone Goose cut. The noble costumes on his body have begun to be cut. Cruz leaned forward, slashing with the spiral-long sword in his hand, forming a huge lifelike lone geese slashing, powerful and domineering blasting through the weapon storm, blowing up from the ground under his feet. He wanted to get rid of Chaos close up. The opponent's golden weapon only splits in half, and the other half does not move. If he keeps at such a long distance, he will be passive. Chaos sneered, and all the remaining weapons raised their heads, aiming at Cruz as dense as it was raining. At the same time, the golden weapons that were sunken in the ground also returned in a torrent, attacking Cruz on both sides. Damn it. Cruz's expression changed in shock. He was about to approach, but the densely packed weapons had to stop him, coupled with the sound of breaking air behind him. The danger had quickly enveloped. With fierce sword energy surrounding it, Cruz carried out a seamless defense, and the golden weapons shot around were knocked off or cut off one after another, but the number of weapons was too much. Puff. The sharp weapon tore the flesh and blood, and the wounds began to appear on Cruz's body. The surrounding ground was bombarding wildly, and Cruz became more and more embarrassed. Can't continue like this. Looking up at the arrogant man sitting on the golden throne, Cruz took a deep breath and looked sharper than ever before. With 2 cross-cutting shots, he forcibly separated the surrounding golden weapons, soaring into the sky like a swordlight. Chaos's pupils shrank sharply, and great danger came in vain. The golden throne seated on his hips quickly appeared in front of him. As soon as the shield was formed, it was split in half, and at the same time a strand of broken hair fell in front of him. Good F*K insurance. Using the shave to appear in the distance, Chaos looked at Cruz, who had landed again, his expression as contemptuous as ever. Don't panic at all. From the beginning, he despised the enemy strategically and valued the enemy tactically. Flap. Chaos clapped his hands together and squinted at Cruz. Cruz stood on the ground with a sullen face, his eyes fixed on Chaos. The anger could not stop rising. This guy is so uncomfortable for him. If you only have this ability, then you can say goodbye. Hundreds of golden weapons lifted into the air, standing in the sky behind Chaos, facing Cruz, with just a light pressure with his right hand, and the whole sky roared in an instant, and the faces of some pirates watching the theater all around changed and retreated. Ends. Ha ha. The sharp blade pierced the air and deafening. Cruz continued to slash his slashes, and the whole person quickly retreated. For a time, the whole street exploded continuously, all kinds of ruined walls and gravel mud splashed, and when the dust dissipated, only all kinds of gold were left. Ruins of weapons. The scene is spectacular. Ahem, Cruz was coughing with blood and wounds on his body. When he looked up, he found that there was no one in the air. The vain sound of breaking through the ear made Cruz's hair burst, and Chaos didn't know when to appear, and his right foot was wrapped in gold and attacked in amazement. Cruz could only defend hastily, showing pain at the moment of the collision, spurting blood in his mouth, turning into a cannonball, pushing a large area of ruins horizontally, leaving an avenue, lying at the end constantly bleeding. With a light wave of Chaos' finger, a large number of golden weapons flew away, not even giving Cruz time to breathe. Just like a rocket launcher bombing, the entire ruins are riddled with holes. Cruz endures the physical trauma and sends out the strongest blow. In a short time, a 100-meter slash and dive, all the golden weapons are broken or knocked out. Ruth quickly disappeared at the end of the ruins without looking back. Not only Chaos, but some of the pirates who watched the show were all dumbfounded. Cruz escaped? Simply neat and not leaving the water, not even a ruthless word? It was too sudden. Go. Cruz's escape was unexpected to many people. It was too sudden and unexpected. After all, it was a pirate who offered a reward of 124 million. Currently, in the entire Demon Valley town, no more than 10 people can surpass this reward. Those pirate groups basically just stay in Demon Valley town. Their goal is the Grand Line New World, rather than wasting time in places like Demon Valley town. Although Demon Valley town is a pirate paradise, there are some low-end pirates gathered, and occasionally there will be mid-level pirates, but they are all decimals after all. It can be understood as a novice village. Cruz retreat means that chaos has the strength of hundreds of millions of rewards. Not everyone can covet a pirate with this level of combat power. Bloodthorn Pradanite, the fat man, greeted him and set out to evacuate for the first time. Strictly speaking, he still had a grudge with chaos. Now he is afraid that chaos will stare at him. There are also pirates such as the Reaper Thesis, the Octopus Madman Rotes, and so on. These are all offering a reward of more than 80 million. They know how to judge the situation and are not the kind of idiots without IQ. The Golden Emperor's combat power has been tested. What if he is defeated? At that time, I will definitely be hurt, and it is not for others to make wedding dresses. As these powerful pirates left, only some weak pirates were left on the scene. The key is that these weak pirates did not understand the situation. They were completely blinded by gold, and they sneaked in to steal those who were stuck on the ground. Golden weapon. When chaos fell back, a golden throne appeared, floating in the air overlooking the audience. Feeling the pirates fleeing with their golden weapons, chaos can only say that they have everything weird. All the gold that can be manipulated by chaos is equivalent to a part of chaos's body, unless it exceeds the range that chaos can perceive. Chaos has awakened to see, hear, and is open 24 hours a day. Although it is a great drain on the spirit, it is also a kind of cultivation. With a move of mind, many screams sounded, all the gold fell in the air, and finally merged into two 5-meter-high golden warriors. Then the golden throne wriggled and turned into a sedan chair, and the two golden warriors stood in front of each other. After lifting it, he stepped on the air 3 feet off the ground and walked towards another street. It looks easy, but in fact it is a serious burden on mental strength. This is obviously also a practice and development. Keeping in this situation means that chaos is practicing every moment, whether it is mental or physical, it is a kind of pressure and burden. Asshole. Unhappy. The eyes of some pirates flushed along the way. This behavior of chaos was too extravagant and too attractive to hate. I have never seen such an arrogant person. Can't wait to hack to death with a knife, but Saoz really enjoys this kind of envy. Jealousy, wanting to kill but not daring to move his eyes, this is the life he wants. High profile and arrogant, the empty, lonely and cold heart was once filled. Without a word for a night, Chaos found a tavern again, ready to replenish his energy and fight again tomorrow. He focused on Reaper Thesis and Bloodthorn Pradanite. These two guys had decided on his life and death, but unfortunately it was not too much fun tonight, and it was too far away from expectations. Except for some small guys, a swordsman Cruz jumped out, and even ran away with a disagreement. No tension at all. On the sparkling sea, a warship was approaching quickly. Maybe it will land in Magic Valley town tomorrow morning. The rising sun is rising, and a new day is coming. On the west street of Magic Valley town, Chaos stood on the top balcony of the hotel, looking at the blue sky, taking a breath of fresh air and radiating his face. I rested for 3 or 4 hours last night, full of energy and full of power. A new day of high-profile life begins again. Doing casually 2,000 push-ups to warm up, Chaos opened the door and walked to the hall downstairs, first filled the temple of the 5 internal organs, and then went to trouble with the Bloodthorn pirates. The large pile of gold that was originally leaning against the corner quickly changed into 3 golden warriors following behind. As soon as they entered the hall, they attracted the attention of the waiter and many pirates. It's hard to imagine so many pirates drinking in the hall early in the morning. Some of them have been drinking from last night to now, and they can continue to drink. Waiter, bring the most expensive food in your store, and remember that as long as the most expensive one, you will come first. This is a tip for you. Chaos snapped his fingers, and a thin male waiter walked over and looked at the golden warrior sitting on the other 3 chairs, almost unable to move his eyes away. With a tuft of fist-sized gold floating in front of him, the waiter looked at Chaos like his father. His face flushed with excitement, speechless. Master Golden Emperor, please. Please wait a moment, we will definitely bring the best food. Go. Chaos waved his hand, he was really not interested in money. and many more. The waiter was called by Chaos before he took a few steps with the gold in both hands. Master Golden Emperor has any more instructions? Everyone's orders are counted on my head. Chaos words fell, and needles fell in the entire hall. All the pirates looked at Chaos in a daze, and didn't know who screamed. The whole hall became noisy and almost lifted the roof of the tavern. The Golden Emperor, Lousy admires you. Lousy just wanted to hack you to death, but now Lousy respects you. You are qualified to be arrogant. Drink. Whoever doesn't drink until lying on the ground today is not giving face to the Golden Emperor. Created in the dead. Waiter, serve Lousy with the most expensive dishes, the most expensive wine, and the most beautiful geisha. We don't have a geisha here. All the pirates yelled. All of them were retaliatory consumption, and the envy in the air could no longer be suppressed. Chaos doesn't care whether these people are grateful or not, he just wants to experience the feeling of all consumption is paid by Zhao Gongzi. Very silky. Also very cool. It's been half an hour since I got out of the tavern. As Chaos guessed, the owners of these taverns or gambling halls have sources of intelligence. The Bloodthorn Pratinate he was looking for was 3 blocks away. Along the way, he swaggered and made high-profile appearances, all kinds of gritted teeth, jealous and hateful eyes, so that Chaos' mood was kept in joy for a while. At the same time, on the sea, Sakazuki Rear Admiral, Magic Valley Town is here. Each of the sailors on the warship held weapons, and all looked at Sakazuki, who came out of the office with a serious face. They know where Demon Valley Town is. Almost all of them are pirates. They only have 1 warship, and the total number of personnel is only 50. If they were to land on the island like this, it might be a bit sloppy. But everyone knows that Sakazuki Rear Admiral cannot shrink back. Even if the pirates of the entire Demon Valley Town unite, they will not retreat even if they fight with 1 soldier. Now they only hope that Sakazuki Rear Admiral will not be so impulsive to wipe out all the pirates in Demon Valley Town. If this is the case, the situation will definitely get out of control. Just catching the Bloodthorn pirates, I believe other pirates will not take the initiative to provoke them. Especially this warship was led by Sakazuki, Rum Tavern. Located on 5th Avenue in Magic Valley Town, even though it was only in the morning, it was only slightly less crowded than in the afternoon. There are still many pirates drinking and eating, among them the Bloodthorn pirates. Dressed in a black suit and big sunglasses as always, Bloodthorn Pratinate is drinking red wine while smoking a cigar. It is hard to tell that he is a cruel pirate. Before coming to Magic Valley Town, he killed a Marine colonel at sea, and was finally chased by Sakazuki, Marine's 3 rookies, and came to Magic Valley Town after escaping once. It was a mad dog, and his strength was extremely powerful. It was a fluke that he escaped the last time. Pratinate didn't want to see that guy anyway. The area of Magic Valley is special, and there are almost all pirates on it, so Marine rarely comes here. It is the best choice for many pirates to escape hunting and killing. Shoo. Without warning, the walls of the tavern burst into holes one after another, and a handful of golden weapons flew in, besieging all the pirates. What? Damn it. There is an enemy attack. Some pirates are gone after drinking. The whole hall became chaotic in the blink of an eye. All kinds of food and drinks were spilled on the ground, mixed with the smell of smoke and blood, full of disgusting smell. The golden weapon is the Golden Emperor. Many pirates hid behind the bunker, looking at the golden weapons inserted on the corpse. They could tell at a glance. Except for the Golden Emperor, no one would use gold as a weapon so extravagantly and still have such a powerful power. All kinds of shouts and anger were flooded, and the attack lasted only for a wave, as if giving them time to react. Pratinite had a sullen face. His fat body was extremely sensitive, and he walked out of the tavern with short legs slamming his cigar, followed by all the members of the Bloodthorn pirates who were not dead behind. Really. As soon as he walked out of the tavern, Pratinite saw the unusually arrogant and high-profile guy. The golden throne seemed to be shrouded in golden light under the shining of the sun, and a handful of golden weapons fell in the surrounding sky, which can be seen in almost all the surrounding streets. So many golden weapons. It's the Golden Emperor. What does that high-profile guy want to do? Who provokes that grandstanding guy? I have to say that Lousy is a little jealous of him, damn Golden Emperor. If the strength allows, I really want to hack that guy to death. All the pirates in a few streets raised their heads and looked to the sky. The golden weapons were like undressed MMS. They were all seduce them. But they are really powerless. Now in the entire Demon Valley Town, as far as who you most want to kill, the Golden Emperor is definitely at the top of the list. 2 attracted hatred. Emperor Golden, what do you want to do? In front of the rum tavern, Pratinat had a fat face with deep coldness. I heard that you made a bet with Madara Horsekiller last time and bet him to win? Kaios was sitting on the suspended throne, leaning Erlang's legs and casually manicuring his nails with a gold knife. His expression did not put Pratinite in his eyes. Because of this, you killed more than a dozen of my men? Pratinat let out a puff of smoke, his eyes colder. No, I'm here to wipe out you all. As soon as Chaos finished speaking, Pratinat suddenly became disdainful. You think you can provoke me by killing the sword hero Cruz? I'm telling you, it only takes a minute for me to kill that guy. Pratinite is very confident, although the sword tycoon Cruz's reward is higher than him, but in his opinion, he is just a bereaved dog. He might have been a little jealous without last night's battle, but that jealousy disappeared after escaping from Cruz. A reward of 124 million is offered, but so, oh? Kaios raised his chin and faced Pratinat with his nostrils, his eyes squinting down with contempt. It's just an expression, which contains words like garbage, disdain, contempt, sarcasm, mental retardation, etc. Kill him for lousy, I'm going to smash his face. The gunpowder barrel exploded instantly, and Pratinat couldn't help it. This expression of chaos crushed his last line of defense, and any provocation was not as lethal as this expression. Boom. Shoo. The entire Bloodthorn pirate group members shot at the first time, rushing and killing. There is only one thought now, killing him. Successfully aroused the anger of all the Bloodthorns, the sarcasm on Chaos's face increased again, and he continued to add fuel to the fire. A bunch of scum, too weak. The golden weapons that fell in the air flew, and various bullets were blocked and sparks were splashed. Then they shot out like bows and arrows, and many screams and bloody smells began to fill the streets. Damn it. A pirate was nailed to the ground by Fang Tian's painted halberd. Absolutely never look down. For nothing else, just can't swallow that breath. The Golden Emperor was too arrogant and owed a beating. If there is a chance, he wants to go with that guy and take it away. Can't bear it. Not to mention the Bloodthorn pirates, even some of the pirates who watched the theater in the distance were almost gritted their teeth. There is no reason, but it is very upset. Jing jab. After the shadow flashed, Pratinite finally shot. 10 black thorns emerged from his right hand, appeared in front of Chaos and blasted his face in one fell swoop. It is hard to imagine such a fat body with such a fast speed. Chaos' expression remained unchanged, as if he had expected it. Without blinking his eyes, a golden 3-leaf axe appeared, firmly blocking Pratinat's fist, and several golden weapons on his head crashed. Thorns. Pratinat's reaction was quick, and dense spikes suddenly appeared from all over his body, like a fat needle ball without the slightest weakness. Paramecia thorn fruit. The user can stretch out thorns all over the body, even rocks can pierce through the thorns. It was the ability of the future Baroque studio agent Miss Two Fingers that made Nami suffer a lot at the time. Pratinat, as this thorn fruit ability, is obviously stronger than the next Miss Two Fingers. These thorns are really harder than steel. Chaos disappeared in an instant, and then a storm fell from the air, several golden weapons blasted on the spikes, and it was impossible to break the defense. Pratinite took the opportunity to land on the ground, with a lot of spikes rising behind him, looking like a fat Godzilla from a distance. Very similar. A defense that is difficult to speak. But falling from the air, the golden throne made a metal collision, sparkling sparks entwined Chaos and began to transform into a golden armor. At the same time, all the scattered golden weapons merged into one, and finally turned into a 10-meter-long coarse cloth with 1 meter at the end. Mace full of gold spikes. Although the sun overhead was very warm, as Chaos carried the mace, a chill spread directly across the street. Many pirates watching the show took a breath. Pratinite's fat face twitched, his eyes changed. His defense is very strong. The enemy will almost always be stabbed back if he wants to hurt him. The only weakness is being bombarded by heavy weapons. Call out. Chaos grinned with white teeth, and his figure flashed right and left one after another, but 3 breaths appeared in front of Pratinite, and then he homered with his huge mace in both hands. Pratinite's hair exploded and disappeared in place for the first time. He did not resist. Suddenly, the ground was torn apart, and a large piece of soil and gravel was shot out by a mace, and the heavy sound of tearing the eardrums all explained the amount of violence. Thorn vines. Pratinite, who quickly disappeared and appeared 5 meters away, burst into a burst with a large number of spikes from his right hand, slamming towards Chaos's back in one fell swoop. Chaos made a beautiful backspace in the air between the electric light and flint, and the spiked mace was pushed down with brute force, causing Pratonite's pupils to shrink. Booming, sand and mud blasted into the sky, and the entire ground shook and a huge hole appeared. The mace was surrounded by cracks in the spiderweb, and a large amount of dust obscured the line of sight. Chaos was like a golden beast coming out of it. Seeing Pratonite rolling to the ground in embarrassment, Chaos disappeared instantly. Then the whole street exploded again and again. It was Chaos chasing Pratonite, and the whole audience pushed all the way horizontally. Damn it. Pratonite roared constantly, and the thorns spreading in his hands kept pricking, and he couldn't break the golden armor worn by Chaos at all. Now the whole body of Chaos, even his head, is in the battle armor, and at the same time his body has been transformed into gold. The double guarantee makes Chaos's defense soar. So I don't play imaginary, I don't even bother to hide, just rush up and do it. Boom. A shadow struck, and the sun faded. A cold air rushed up to the Pratonite skyline cover, and the mace that swept across from close at hand, like a mountain range, was vigorous and vigorous. He had no time to dodge. Spikes appeared all over his body, and Pratonite stopped in front of his face with both hands for the first time. The next moment the force of the sky and the earth broke, Pratonite's spikes were broken, and it was useless even to pierce into the golden mace. The powerful force surged in a destructive posture, and Pratonite's big face was in the first place, distorted for a time. The entire surface exploded, the slabs and mud were turned up, and Pratonite's huge body turned into a cannonball. All the way through the house lying 100 meters away in the ruins, his face was bloody, his nose collapsed and bones were cracked. Call out. Chaos rose up from the ground, holding the mace in both hands as if he fell to the ground. Pratonite, who was initially a little dizzy, quickly rushed to the side. The next moment the mace hit the ground, a radius of 50 meters. Suddenly cocked, and the violent wind whistling rolled up the sand and fell into the ocean. Before Pratonite got up, Chaos appeared fiercely, holding a golden mace in both hands and hitting another home run. Blood was splashing like a fountain. Pratonite bent his body, turned his eyes up, and the entire chest was broken. The thorns were even once sunken and turned into streamers, rushing across the entire street, leaving behind a huge gully and smashing into the ruins without knowing life or death. A 10th magnitude typhoon struck the audience and leveled the surrounding area. Chaos rose into the sky, and not long after falling into the dust, huge explosions sounded again and again, and half of the town of Magic Valley seemed to be in an earthquake. As the most central scenery emerged, the pirates watching the show from all directions all paled and sweated. Huh. A pile of rocks turned up in pieces. Chaos shook his head and shook his forehead bangs to the side. His chest was violently ups and downs, panting for breath. The huge golden mace was held in his hand, and the spiked fangs on it were covered with all kinds of minced meat and blood. As for Pratonite, it has become muddy, and the scene is thrilling and bloody. Too irresistible. With the golden armor on his body breaking away and becoming a throne, Chaos sat down and wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. A nervous smile appeared on his face, and many pirates stepped back and were startled. So cruel. Bloodthorn Pratonite was hammered to death by the Golden Emperor. This guy. Get off the horse. The octopus madman Rotes in a clown costume slightly squinted his eyes and his expression was a little heavy. Bloodthorns was also a pirate who offered a reward of 89 million, so he was killed so easily. The Golden Emperor has the qualifications to be arrogant and high profile. This bastard. On the roof not far away, Madara Horsekiller gritted his teeth very uncomfortably. No, Marine has landed on the island. It seems to be Rear Admiral Sakazuki, the three major rookies of Marine. What are you talking about? Marine. Are you sure Marine is coming? Run. It's Marine Rear Admiral Sakazuki. That Logia mad dog. Chaos, who was about to find Reaper Thesis, stood still and looked far away, where many pirates were panicked, and all kinds of swearing could be heard from far away. It's really a lot of trouble. Marine actually came here. Captain, shall we retreat first? What are you afraid of? This is Magic Valley Town, a paradise for our pirates. If I come to a Vice Admiral, I might be a little afraid. What is a Rear Admiral afraid of? But that is not an ordinary Rear Admiral, but Sakazuki of Marine's three major Logia. Look at it first. The entire Demon Valley town was almost alarmed. If it's just a Rear Admiral, even Logia, they are worth it, and there are Marine Vice Admiral and a large fleet of warships behind. That is the most terrifying. Many pirates are fleeing, and many pirates are staying and want to see what Marine is going to do. It is simply unrealistic to take out Demon Valley town in one pot. Unless you start Buster Call. There is only one Rear Admiral, Even the 3 Logia who have already shown their prowess at sea, they might die on the island. The only ones who are scared are the little ones, those really powerful or confident pirate groups, what they should eat and drink. Marine dare to provoke them, just kill them. If you switch to Vice Admiral, they will be a little more afraid. If you switch to Admiral, just run away without saying a word. Just a Rear Admiral, don't pay attention to it. Chaos saw and heard the color quickly spread out, and he could perceive a few tyrannical auras entering the Demon Valley town. He didn't know whether it was a coincidence or deliberate, and he was approaching him. As the golden throne lifted off, Os was waiting with Erlang's legs and one hand propped on his chin. The huge golden mace turned into a magnificent giant sword. While the sun, moon and stars began to appear slowly, while the mountains and grass in the hilt appeared, the book on farming and animal husbandry appeared, and the book on the unified strategy of the whole world. The finely crafted patterns are very precious and dazzling, and they can exercise their mental will well. The exquisite giant sword was formed in about a minute, and it fell behind Chaos to show its nobility and majesty. The fake Xuanyuan sword was formed. The body of the golden sword was still stained with blood, and finally gathered at the tip of the sword along the lines, and began to drip slowly towards the ground drop by drop. Must have noodles. The more bells and whistles the better, Chaos loves this. Even if he died, he would fight for the first place. As always, it is a matter of principle. There is no room for negotiation at all. The appearance of Sakazuki really surprised Chaos. Since I met, I must go to death. That was Sakazuki. In the future, he was the only one who was desperately outputting according to the script, and at the same time suffering the most venomous beatings and vomiting the most blood, so he had never been counseled. The whole audience will do it to death. Even if the character is unpleasant, or there are various problems, it is undeniable that Sakazuki is absolutely worthy of his admiral identity and the clothes he wears. This is a very charming character. Chaos is looking forward to meeting him. Maybe it's not Sakazuki's opponent, but this one must be fought. This man is called Sakazuki. If you have the opportunity to take away a few Marines who know how to play 6 forms, then his 6 forms will have fallen. At the same time, it is time to be offered a reward, so that his fame can spread to the sea. The next time he enters the battle, there will be a dragon set next to him exclaiming, "Look at that," as the Golden Emperor who offers hundreds of millions of rewards. It is said to be extremely arrogant and arrogant. That picture is very interesting just thinking about it. On the spacious and messy street, there are many pirates who are not afraid of death on both sides, holding weapons and sneering at the 50 teams in marine uniforms on the street. The headed Sakazuki was carrying a long knife, still wearing an open-chested red half-sleeved shirt, wearing a marine cap, and an iron aura exuding all over his body, which made many pirates subconsciously lower their breath and dare not act rashly. Sakazuki's resolute face has a trace of skeptical disdain, and these little guys don't even have the qualifications to die in his hands. Do you know where the Bloodthorn pirate group is? At present, Sakazuki's 3 colonels followed. One of them, with a centipede scar on his face, walked up to a pirate, his eyes cold as if he would do anything at any time. The pirate who was stared at subconsciously pointed in the direction of Chaos, and at the same time the whole heart was hanging full of heart palpitations. Go. Obtaining the exact direction, Sakazuki and his party kept going deep into the town of Magic Valley. And the pirate breathed a sigh of relief, his back was already wet. Marine's aura is so strong, I don't know that I thought it was Vice Admiral who was leading the team. Is it just to find the Bloodthorn pirates? I remember, I heard that the Bloodthorn pirates killed a warship led by Marine Colonel some time ago, and that colonel is Sakazuki's subordinate. I said, how could the fellow Bloodthorn Pratinate appear in Demon Valley town, because he was hunted down and hid here. Quite a few pirates whispered to each other, and they clarified the ins and outs in just a few words. If only looking for the Bloodthorn pirate group, almost all pirates will not do it. But if you want to destroy Demon Valley town, or catch the pirates with fanfare, the pirates in Demon Valley town will never sit idly by. You can see many pirates following behind Marine, some powerful with dangerous smiles, as if thinking about whether to kill Sakazuki here. If you can get rid of the rookies that Marine is vigorously training now, it will definitely be him in the headlines tomorrow. In this way, the reputation will be gained. A few minutes later, Sakazuki and a group of Marines stood in front of the ruins, looking at Kausi, who was sitting on the golden throne in midair, with Erlang's legs and chin resting on his back, and a magnificent and noble gold giant sword stood behind him. A sense of luxury, nobility, arrogance is coming. Chaos glanced up and down at Sakazuki, with a light manner. Sakazuki is still very young now, especially the knife behind it is very dazzling. When he was young, Sakazuki was a swordsman, and he may also have the strength of a swordsman. Now he should have eaten lava fruit, but he still hasn't completely abandoned kendo. In the Ohara incident, Sakazuki at that time was already vice admiral, and he gave up kendo to give priority to lava fruit. When Chaos looked at Sakazuki lightly, Sakazuki also glanced at Chaos blankly, both inside and out with arrogance. Sakazuki Rear Admiral, the Bloodthorn pirates, including the Captain Bloodthorn Pratinit, were killed by the Golden Emperor Gaia Chaos, that guy. A major returned and pointed to Chaos on the golden seat. How much is a reward? A large colonel next to Sakazuki spoke. At present, the Golden Emperor has not offered a reward. It is neither a pirate nor a pirate hunter. Ding ding kacha. As soon as the major's words fell, the fallen giant sword behind Chaos began to split, turning into a variety of 18 weapons and aiming at Sakazuki and the crowd. Shoo! Hurry up! Defense! All the Marines changed color instantly, even the pirates. No one thought that the Golden Emperor would suddenly do it. Court death. As soon as Chaos moved his hand, Sakazuki's face instantly became fierce, and he drew a long knife from his back and slammed a blow. Suddenly a dazzling slash and dive powerfully blasted the 18 weapons that he shot, and at the same time the whole person disappeared in place. Was already below Chaos when it appeared. Great eruption. The entire right arm was flowing with lava, and finally formed a villa-sized lava giant fist, which rose from the ground with the sound of a storm. Sakazuki was a big move as soon as he came up, trying to get rid of Chaos with one punch. Seeing and hearing the color is always preparing. The Golden Throne formed a war armor entanglement for the first time. Chaos disappeared with a shave, and appeared in front of Sakazuki in the blink of an eye. A golden sword in his right hand pierced Sakazuki's heart straightly. Chaos didn't have the joy of attacking on his face, but frowned tightly with such an expression as expected. As for Sakazuki, his face was full of contempt and disdain, and the long knife in his hand quickly turned and slashed towards Chaos, even with a strange power entwined on it. Chaos's left hand armor squirmed, forming a long sword over his head. The next moment a huge crisis rushed in. The golden long sword was easily cut off. The golden hanabi was splashing, and Chaos used the shave to pull away and appeared 10 meters away, looking down at his chest, where the torn golden armor overflowed with a trace of bright red bloodline. Armament hockey. Chaos looked a little ugly. Although his physique had not been converted into gold, the defense of the armor was far beyond ordinary steel, but it was still broken by Sakazuki. Ding. The deformed golden long sword fell from Sakazuki's body, and most of it had been smelted into a golden liquid. Sakazuki's chest was dripping with crimson lava and healed in the blink of an eye with gas. Chaos's attack was of no use. Raising his hand, all the weapons in the air shot at Sakazuki with the sound of breaking through the air. The latter held a long knife and ignored it. The ground was torn and Chaos disappeared in place, and the ruins behind him caused a huge explosion. Without an armed color, Logia is insoluble at all. Chaos was suspended in the air, watching Sakazuki's body being destroyed by 18 weapons, but with the flow of magma, he quickly recovered. Call out. Sakazuki quickly approached, and the entire left arm lava expanded to form a vicious dog, tearing his eardrums and rising high temperature, and Chaos felt a danger before he arrived. The body under the battle armor was golden, and Chaos made a fist and didn't dodge, so he faced Sakazuki's hard steel. He needs to push himself. Boom. The ground under his feet exploded, and there was a trace of pain on Chaos's face, and he couldn't control his body to fly out. Along the way, he rolled in embarrassment and set off a series of rebels, and his right fist was red and white smoke rose. At the same time, the entire right arm was trembling slightly. He lost in strength. Climbing up from the ground, Chaos looked at Sakazuki, who had put away his long sword and walked over with lava flowing all over his body. The gold scattered on the ground all shot and merged with the battle armor. As his body continued to grow, he finally became 10. The meter-high golden warrior, majestic and full of explosive power. The two walked closer, and with the earth-shaking explosion, the golden giant fist collided with the lava giant fist, and a circular shock wave set off the stone pavement, destroying the surrounding buildings for a while. Half a street disappeared directly. Chaos could not stop retreating. The golden face under the armor was unwilling and unbelievable. That punch was all his strength, but he lost. Is Sakazuki in this period already so strong? Lava fruit simulates a volcanic eruption, and that force is really not something ordinary people can take. Boom boom boom. Strong storms are constantly sweeping, and several streets in Magic Valley are reduced to ruins. The raging fire entangles the smoke and rises into the sky, and the surrounding ground is cratered to form various potholes. The magma bubbling inside keeps the temperature rising. Two monsters. Is this the strongest Logia in Devil Fruit? It's terrible, it's just manipulating the power of nature. Logia Lava Fruit, Marine's three major rookies Rear Admiral Sakazuki's ability. Ordinary attacks are useless at all, the Golden Emperor will undoubtedly lose. Make him arrogant, now he finally kicked it to the iron plate. Outside the chaotic field, many pirates and marines watched the fierce battle on the scene. The power displayed by Sakazuki opened their eyes. Logia is indeed the strongest of the three devil fruits. The attack of the Golden Emperor was useless at all. Dark Hound. Unmatched power erupted in an instant, and Chaos showed pain in a hard blow, and the golden armor of the entire right arm was cracked, like a piece of metal falling down. The most important thing is that the gold is actually beginning to soften. Chaos couldn't control his body, and flew out with a large fragment of ruined walls, and finally lay at the end with blood leaking from the corner of his mouth. Lava dripped on Sakazuki's face, and the lava in his right hand continued to swell. Even Haki wouldn't dare to provoke and send you to hell. Canine Tooth Gurren. The Sakazuki didn't say much, and shot at Chaos with contempt in his eyes, and the entire lava right arm turned into a dog's head shape. At the moment of close proximity, it was like a missile bombardment. The unmatched power even tore the eardrum. Only you. Chaos roared, and all the gold on his body wriggled around his right arm, forming a huge gold right fist. The shock attack did not bring back any retreat. Buzzing. The collision energy spread instantly, the surrounding ground peeled off and then collapsed. A large amount of hot magma scattered in all directions. Chaos gritted his teeth and sank into the ground with his feet, his mouth stubbornly resisted. The nameless, die. Sakazuki's face was fierce, and the magma in his body slammed into his arms, and the second force blessed in a moment, just like a stormy sea that caused Chaos to keep retreating. Damn it. Is the gap so big? Chaos's golden eyes were full of unwillingness. He had cultivated to the death for 3 and 5 months. It can be said that he did not slack off for a moment, but compared with these real characters, he was still far behind. Do you want to retreat? No, just stick to it. Chaos gritted his teeth, forcibly stood still, ignoring the wounds in his body, and roared to resist. Puff, imagination is beautiful, but reality is cruel. Chaos only supported it for more than 10 seconds, and then flew out and hit the ruins, with blood constantly overflowing in his mouth. He is now golden, and even so, he can't bear that power. Getting up from the ground, Chaos spit out blood on the ground with his mouth turned, his messy blonde hair casually draped on his forehead, standing upright proudly and hooking his finger at Sakazuki. People can be defeated, but demeanor cannot be without. Sakazuki was not angry, after all, Chaos was already dead in his eyes. Boom. The two sides collided again, and Chaos' attack could not hurt Sakazuki, but it could be forced back. It can be said that it is completely unbalanced, and the elementalization of Logia is really unsolvable. From the side, Chaos is already very cowhide. In the case of no armed color, he could fight Sakazuki for so long, and he was still frontally hardened steel. He even forced Sakazuki back more than once. Puff. The outer layer of gold armor shattered, and Chaos was bowed and his chest was red, and he flew out and hit the ground constantly rolling. After splashing a large piece of rubble and dust, he swayed and stood up again. He spit out the blood in his mouth, tilted his chin up, and still had the expression with the eyes above the top. There are many pirates who watch the show in the periphery, so it's not unreasonable that this guy is hateful. Even if you don't die today, you will die later. Maybe it will provoke some strong people. It's all in this situation, so arrogant, and I don't know where the courage comes from. Sakazuki's heart also slowly risen with anger. He didn't feel much at first, but it was different when he hit it. The various contemptuous eyes of the other party are really irritating. This arrogance is not like the Haki arrogance of Golden Lion and the Lonely Red, but the arrogance that is niche and easy to hate, that is, the kind that is not pleasing to the eye. Even a person with a mild temper cannot stand it. That kind of feeling is that if you don't hammer Chaos to death, you will not be able to understand your thoughts, and you will feel uncomfortable all over your body. If you stand on the upper hand, you can be so arrogant, after all, it is very strong. But the key is to fall into a disadvantage, which is why the self-confidence of Mystery is supporting this arrogance. The ground burst and collided again, and Chaos kept backing away in pain, but it was like immune to death's Xiaoqiang hitting again and again. Dark Hound. Sakazuki descended from the sky, leaning back with his right hand, lava splashing, and rushing straight towards chaos like a broken bamboo. Whether it was power or speed, it was extremely terrifying. Chaos, with a bloody face, clenched his right fist, still so arrogant. Just as he continued to be tough with Sakazuki with his fist, an inexplicable force filled his arms, especially the strongest fist. Chaos didn't have time to react and collided with Sakazuki. With the sound of the dull heavy metal, Chaos sank his feet into the ground and shot out. After leaving 2 30-meter gullies, he slammed a backflip. Kneeling on the ground, the golden face was full of ecstasy. There can be nothing wrong. There is absolutely nothing wrong. The great power in his body was finally aroused. Why did he persist, even if he was hammered? Isn't it just madness on the verge of death trying to arouse that power? Sakazuki's eyes changed with dripping lava all over his body. Just after the collision, a weak haki appeared in the opponent's hand. This guy. Sakazuki showed murderous intent, flying out, and the magma all over his body was swelling. Kaios was more excited than ever before. He clenched his fist and felt the weak force, and constantly guided and felt it. It was just as strange and unfamiliar as when he first awakened. Puff. Without any accident, at the moment of the collision, Chaos vomited blood and flew out, before he gasped. Sakazuki appeared. As the landslide exploded, Chaos flew out of the thick smoke like a ball. Finally, he rolled on the ground and grabbed the ground with both hands, wiped out the blood in his mouth and nose in embarrassment and laughed. Sakazuki walked out of the flames with a gloomy expression, and at a glance, he knew that his mood was extremely bad. Ha ha. Sakazuki, you will be my best friend from now on. You really didn't let me down. I'll be here first today. I can't hold it anymore. You are the most kind man I have ever seen. Go back and remember to get my reward news report out. I will be very unhappy if there is 100 million missing. I look forward to seeing you next time. Chaos looked up to the sky and screamed and fled. Echoes echoed across the sky. Sakazuki had a cold face and wanted to chase, but the ability to fly in the air was obviously not as fast as Chaos. Even using Great Eruption is useless. If it is replaced by Sakazuki, who is going to be at war in the future, Chaos will not even run away. He may have died a long time ago and there will be no scum left. On the other side of Magic Valley Town, there is a deep mountain and old forest. Chaos slammed on the ground like a meteor, shocking many birds and beasts. A small piece of jungle was crushed to form a pothole. Chaos lying in it looking at the blue sky, his golden armor was tattered, his face was pale and bloodstained, and he looked miserable and embarrassed. But his eyes were brighter than ever. Seeing and hearing colors cover the surroundings, and no tracking people are found. It's safe. Just lying in the pit, smelling the fragrance of the soil vegetation, calmed down for almost half an hour, Chaos crawled out of the pit in pain, and then staggered towards the depths of the jungle. This is the end of arrogant pretense. Pain and happiness coexist. But it is very good. Another hour passed. By the side of a small river, Chaos cleaned his whole body and had a tattered golden armor. Then he applied herbs and lay on a big rock, and he could clearly feel the strangeness in his body. Strength. Ha 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 ha. The corners of his mouth could not be restrained from laughing. Chaos raised his right hand as if to grasp the sun on the sky in his palm, and he awakened. He awakened the armed color. The arrogant capital will increase again in the future. He has been training and beating hard every day, even before his debut, for 3 and 5 months. Do you know how he spent the 3 and 5 months? He held back his vanity for 3 years and 5 months, and he could be pregnant with Ineza. If you don't have autism, it's all with excellent psychological quality. Especially today, finally broke the cocoon and turned into a butterfly. The richest man is actually in the pool. As long as he learns to be armed with knowledge, he will surely suppress all enemies and become the supreme legend that future generations can only look up to and catch up. Pull away. 5 days passed in the blink of an eye since sunset. Sakazuki and others left on the same day. Anyone with a black face was not allowed to enter the whole process, maybe just a glance with a few pirates. Sakazuki, who was originally unhappy, broke out and defeated dozens of pirate groups with a strong and domineering force. In the end, he almost moved 1/10 of the town of Magic Valley to the ground. The men who brought him also suffered heavy losses. If it weren't for the call from Marineford, Sakazuki might have been stuck in Magic Valley. In the deep mountains and old forests, a river is raging torrents, and in front of a rock the size of a villa, Chaos reveals 8-pack abdominal muscles naked to his upper body, strong and full of lines. The right hand was golden, exuding golden light under the shining of the sun with the spread of power. It was visible to the naked eye that Chaos' golden right fist was dyed with a layer of light black color, and finally turned into a black gold fist. Boom. With his fist clenched and the blue veins raised, Chaos hit the rock in front of him with a punch. As the huge impact spread, the whole rock began to sink from where the fist touched, and then there appeared centipede cracks, and finally wrapped up like a broken mirror, piece of rock. The sky blasted and screamed, and pieces of rock fragments flew like cannonballs, splashing huge water splashes in the river, or smashing into the ground to form small pits. The whole big rock exploded. Sure enough, both the offensive power and the defense power have increased. Chaos looked at the black gold fist. In the past 5 days, he had initially armed Master. The Master's speed is a bit fast. From the side, it is actually a lot of accumulation. After all, more than 3 years are considered to be laying the foundation, and coupled with the talent for traversing enhancement, it is completely expected. It's not just an armed color. In the future, as long as the 6 forms find that direction, it will easily become hydrated. I don't know if Sakazuki has left Demon Valley Town or not, and he has his own reward. It should be at least 100 million. Chaos is itchy, he wants to know his reward now. 5 days ago, Sakazuki's face was so shameful, and with his jealous and hateful character, is the amount of reward still going up? Moreover, I left the Times and reported the lowest price, so I should be able to afford it. The scattered gold flew into the sky, forming a 10-meter giant sword standing in the air. Chaos stood on the top of the sword target and flew to the town of Magic Valley with anticipation. Demon Valley Town is still that Demon Valley Town, and nothing has been affected by the battle 5 days ago. What it used to be is still what it was now. Hey! Look at what it is. Damn it, such a huge sword seems to be made of gold. So arrogant and high profile? There is a man on the sword target. Don't look at it, it must be the bastard of Emperor Golden. Such a high profile is hateful, no one but him. Many pirates on the street raised their heads and looked up at the sky. Almost at the same time, there appeared a figure that owed a beating, and then cursed what they should be doing. After watching for a long time, the anger went up inexplicably. It's your own body that is angry, so you can't do it. Captain, for such a big golden sword, the minimum is more than 3 billion Baileys to start. Compared to some pirates who knew the Golden Emperor, the new pirates who landed on the island in these 5 days all looked up with greed. Don't be impulsive, that guy screamed so arrogantly, but the pirates in Demon Valley Town turned out to just curse a few words. Something is wrong. Look at the situation first. Many pirates are still smart, and this situation is not right. So I did not act rashly. There were also many people whose eyes were blinded by greed, and they even followed behind the golden great sword. Some idiots. Many pirates looked at the new pirates who were catching up with them, with disdain on their faces. If the Golden Emperor was so easy to kill, they would have hacked to death long ago. When I arrived at the address of the original tropical hotel, a 5-story building was erected here, but it was made of wood. It looks very luxurious and exquisite. This smoking boss is fast enough. The golden giant sword fell, hanging 3 feet above the ground on the street, blocking the sunlight. There are also many pirates with dark faces, their eyes are full of discomfort looking at Chaos, and they can't stop yelling. I get angry as soon as I see this guy. Boom. The shooting sounded without warning, startled the surrounding pirates. Chaos slightly tilted his head to look in the direction of the shot. More than 20 vicious greedy pirates were staring at the golden giant sword under his feet. Boy, we want your gold. Our captain is offering a reward of 15 million. More than 20 pirates were extremely arrogant, and more than a dozen gunpoints were all aimed at Chaos. These idiots. Dead. Many pirates around looked at the more than 20 pirates like they were mentally retarded. Even Chaos was taken aback for a moment, and then his face became difficult to look. You don't know who I am. Chaos still had a fluke in his heart. Whoever you are, just obedient if you don't want to die. Chaos' eyes suddenly became dangerous. These people don't even know who he is. Too much deception. The golden giant sword trembles, and more than 20 golden spears are instantly split, and they all fly out at all the pirates. The ground bombed again and again for the first time. After the various screams and begging for mercy disappeared, more than 20 pirates were all nailed to the ground, and the pungent and bloody smell was disgusting in the air. Kill in an instant. None of them escaped. Whoever comes out to wash the ground, this tuft of gold belongs to him, don't affect the appearance of the city. All the gold blended into 3 golden warriors, and Kaios waved a fist-sized gold to the ground. Then I entered the tropical hotel in a very bad mood. And the lump of gold was taken by 5 or 6 people who didn't know where it came from, and then quickly swept the audience, and everything returned to normal. Even the pothole shot by the golden spear was refilled. At first glance, I knew it was a professional scrubbing gang. How could it not? It's been 5 days. What a joke. A roar came from the tropical hotel, causing many pirates on the street to look at the hotel inexplicably. Hearing this voice seemed to be the arrogant fellow of the Golden Emperor. At this time in the store, Chaos grabbed Spike's collar with one hand. If Chaos had just come to Magic Valley Town, Spike would have swept out with a mace. But now he can only let Chaos grab the collar. No way, the times have become too fast. He can't do this, guy. Calm down. The smoking boss no longer smokes at the bar, but is a peacemaker, and his words are a little more respectful. Damn Sakazuki. Kaios let go of his hand a little angrily and slapped his hand on the table cruelly. He just asked Spike if he had his reward order, but the big guy said no. 5 days ago, I clearly told Sakazuki. Didn't that guy report him to Marine? Damn it. The expectant heart suddenly cooled. This is to force him to take the initiative. Chaos sat on a chair, and the Golden Warriors sat on the opposite side and on the left and right. Many pirates in the hull looked at the 3 little golden men from time to time, and they couldn't hide the greed at all. But there is no courage to dare to do it. At present, the reputation of the Golden Emperor is well known in Mogu Town. Except for some newly landed pirates who dare to do something, even the pirates who are offering a reward of hundreds of millions have to be weighed and weighed. Feeling extremely irritable, filling the 5 internal organs hastily, Chaos inquired about the whereabouts of some powerful pirates from the smoking boss, and then left. Then run in the armed colors, and then go to trouble with Marine. See if you can get the other 6 types, and then go to Sky Island to retreat for a period of time. When the time comes, I will come back to express my own legend. Arrogance, high profile, arrogant death is a high-risk occupation, which belongs to the long-term walking on a tightrope, and there is no difference between suicide without a certain foundation. He pays great attention to this one. In the next 10 days or so, the entire Demon Valley town was smoky, and the pirates under 70 to 80 million all yelled at them, and almost all those who offered the rewards escaped Demon Valley Town. In the past 10 days, I didn't know what kind of madness the Golden Emperor was going to. It was either in a fight or on the way to a fight, which caused a lot of pirates to panic. Such as the Octopus Pirate Group, Madara Horsekiller, Reaper Thesis, etc., all have left the town of Magic Valley. At the same time, Chaos did not wait for his reward for the past 10 days. He guessed that Sakazuki might have forgotten him. As guessed, Sakazuki did forget him. Now that the pirates are being arrested on the Grand Line, there is no time to remember who Chaos is. The blue sky is like washing, and it is surrounded by 1,000-meter-high white clouds. A giant golden sword flew in vain, leaving a channel in the clouds and quickly disappearing to the horizon. Chaos carried his hands on his back, with broken hair flying in the wind. His white shirt was open to reveal the 8 strong and powerful abdominal muscles, and his tall body could be said to be handsome. At least Chaos himself thinks so. Now he can't find an opponent in Magic Valley Town. Life is so lonely as snow. So he asked the smoking boss about the nearest marine branch, which is now on his way. Yep. After flying for almost 70 or 80 kilometers, Chaos suddenly looked towards the sea. On the endless blue sea, 2 large ships seemed to be chasing one after another. One is a pirate ship and the other is a warship. I hope to encounter a warship above the colonel. At this time, the marine and the level above the major may all have a master in 6 styles. Chaos has now master shaved and moonwalk. Finger pistol can also be said to be successful in practice. It is only short of iron body, paper arts, and tempest kick. Iron body and paper arts may be used specifically to increase the chance of awakening armed color and seeing and hearing color, so it is not a big problem. I think so, but Chaos still intends to ask Marine for advice. Boost. Fire, fire, these damn Marines. On the undulating sea surface, one by one grenades splashed into the sea, and the pirates on the entire pirate regiment acted urgently. Even if they had been licking blood on the sea for many years, they also had a trace of nervous fear at this time. Compared with the tension of the pirates, the Marine on the back of the warship was in an orderly manner, loading shells with shells, and firing shots. The pirates were always consumed without any rush. This is the difference between a regular army and a pan of loose sand. What's more, the supreme officer of this warship is Rear Admiral. When watching anime, First think Marine Rear Admiral is the same thing, the strength seems to be very weak. But the reality is that Marine Rear Admiral is very strong, really strong. It is completely possible to win against the highest officer of any branch in any sea area. Not only Rear Admiral, but Marine generals such as Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel, and Major are also very powerful. For individual majors, the Master's 6 forms as not just one form, and even hockey has a Master. Tobit Rear Admiral, the pirate's shell counterattack is weakened. On the bow of the warship, a burly man with a beard and Rear Admiral cloak of justice looked at the pirate ship ahead with his arms folded. A seaman next to him put down his binoculars and reported. Don't worry, continue to attack with artillery shells. If it can sink, then sink it. When the time comes to fight, it can reduce casualties. The Tobit Rear Admiral is very calm, and belongs to the kind of general who cares about his subordinates. He did not intend to hard steel with the pirates, but intends to weaken the pirates with shells and chase. Yes. You can see the surrounding Marines, all looking at Tobit with respect. That is the respect from the heart. Every time a pirate is arrested, our personnel will suffer casualties. You must prepare the medical officer. No matter how expensive the medicine is, I must use it. You must do your best to save everyone's lives. Tobit turned and looked at his adjutant very seriously. As long as this order was at war with the pirate, he would definitely order it. He will never give up any of his followers, it has become a habit for many years. The medical officer has prepared in advance and promised not to give up any brother. Very good. Toby nodded, and then continued to look at the pirate ship ahead. The code of justice behind is flying in the sea breeze. This continued for a few more minutes, and the pirates' counterattack became weaker and weaker, and all the shells were almost exhausted. But out of caution, or because he did not want to cause too many casualties to his men, Tobit continued to order shelling until the pirate ship lost its ability to sail. Despicable Marine. The fire of the pirate ship soared into the sky and the smoke lifted into the sky, and many pirates looked desperate. In this vast uncultivated sea, the pirate ship loses its ability to sail, and the Marine does not need to catch it. It may not be long before the pirates will sink to the bottom of the sea. Now these pirates have 3 paths. Either surrender, kill Marine to snatch warships, or die on the bottom of the sea. Shoo. The door grenade on the warship kept shooting out. Even if the pirates blocked them as much as possible, they still fell on the ship and exploded. Many pirates were blown to pieces, and those who were lucky enough not to die were also screaming again and again. All kinds of burnt meat aromas, mixed with pungent bloody smell and gunpowder smoke, make the turbulent sea even more turbulent. Kill. What? My hand, my hand. I surrender, don't kill me. Help, help. At this time, on the pirate ship, many pirates were wailing on the ground, and a large number of Marines were landing from the warship. The two sides are not fighting each other. Boom. A figure flew out, breaking the main pole of the pirate ship and smashing into the cabin, its chest sunken and unable to stop vomiting blood. Tobit fell from the midair, with the cloak of justice flying behind him, his eyes sharply looking at the pirate who kept vomiting blood in the broken cabin. He was the captain of the pirate group. A reward of 48 million is offered. Such a small role cannot be his opponent. Just 5 or 6 moves made the opponent lose resistance. Let down all weapons. Hurry up, put your head in your hands and lie on the ground. With the defeat of Captain Pirate, the situation became clear. Many Marines surrounded the pirates with their muskets, their faces fierce and wary. Do not kill me. As 1 or 2 pirates dropped their weapons and lay on the ground, more and more pirates gave up. Their captain didn't hold on for more than 10 seconds, and the Marine, who was wearing the justice coat on the bow, clearly had Rear Admiral on his shoulder. Fortunately, I met the warship led by Rear Admiral here. Tie it up. The Marines are very skilled, kicking off the weapon in front of the pirate and handcuffing them. After the pirate captain was hit hard, Tobit watched quietly, just standing there was a shock. But just as the dust settled, there was a sudden blast from the sky, and Tobit raised his head and looked up for the first time, his expression suddenly changed. Immediately after, Marine and the pirate also raised their heads, both slightly opened their mouths, a little surprised. The sun was pouring down, and a gorgeous and noble golden giant sword fell down. It was more than 10 meters long, and it was engraved with exquisite pictures of the sun, moon, stars, mountains, and trees. And above that huge sword was a handsome man wearing precious gold armor and exuding a king's fan. But the man was looking down at them contemptuously, as if he was looking at a lowly person. Fortunately, I caught a Rear Admiral. Chaos stretched out his hand to lift his hair up, revealing his smooth forehead, and slanting his eyes down, making him more arrogant and defiant. This is the king's contempt. Clank. The golden giant sword at the foot made the sound of golden leather, and then 18 weapons such as swords, guns, swords and halberds appeared in the surrounding sky, no more than 18. The fingers of the left hand gently pressed down, and there was a sound of breaking through the air. 18 weapons shot at Tobit like sharp arrows. As for the other marines and pirates, they ignored them. His goal is Tobit. Facing the golden weapon from the lacing, Tobit was calm. Quickly kicked a few feet to form a 5 meniscus tempest kick slash, rising from the ground and colliding with the golden weapon, making a sound like a golden iron horse. At the same time they disappeared in place, and the deck was filled with several weapons in the next second. Tempest kick, shave. Chaos swept his gaze to the ship's rail, and the opponent really knew 6 poses. It just so happens that Tempest kick is what he needs. Lifting his right hand slightly, the weapons inserted on the deck lifted off one after another, falling down to the side and aiming at Tobit, but this time they did not shoot. At the same time, the golden armor of Chaos was stripped and merged into the golden great sword. Disappearing out of thin air, Chaos appeared on the deck in the next second, only 2 meters away from Tobit. "Who is your excellency?" Tobit's muscles tightened, and he felt the danger. The corners of Chaos's mouth are full of arrogance, and he directly responds to Tobit with actions. The calf of his right foot quickly dyed black, and the air exploded and swept towards Tobit's head like lightning. The latter leaned back and avoided and disappeared in place. The next second Tobit appeared on the right side of Chaos, his right arm muscles bulging and spreading veins. The same covering armed color blasted towards Chaos's head. Boom. There was a huge dull sound, and Chaos turned around with a punch, a circular shockwave spreading around the two of them. Many pirate marines collapsed and withdrew. At the same time the air pressure crushed the flames and black smoke burning in the stern of the ship. Tobit hummed back a few steps, his eyes full of weight. Chaos stood there and didn't move, but there was a crack in the deck under his feet. That's it. Tempest kick. Tobit launched an attack, jumping up and kicking 2 feet towards Chaos in succession, forming a meniscus-shaped slash and tearing the deck in tandem, and attacking Chaos fiercely. Seeing the color radiation, Chaos slowly leaned his body to the left and right, and flashed one after another when Tobit made a punch. The latter turned his right fist and made an uppercut with an armed color. Chaos first leaned back and then rotated 360 degrees off the ground, with his left foot on the ground and his right foot sweeping across the army with the sound of breaking through the air. Call out. Tobit did not resist, but disappeared with shave. But as soon as he appeared 5 meters away, he noticed a crisis before he acted. Chaos unexpectedly also appeared, iron body. Tobit's face changed in shock, and his broad chest bulged, and he could only resist the shocking fist. Like the sound of heavy metal collisions, Chaos hit Tobit's chest with a punch. With the huge wind and waves flying around the deck, Tobit's face was flushed and his eyes were full of pain. He spouted a mouthful of blood before flying and shot through the distance in one fell swoop. Of warships. Chaos stepped on the moonwalk to chase out, and disappeared before everyone's eyes. Tobit Rear Admiral. Damn it, Lord Rear Admiral. How to do? Trust Tobit Rear Admiral. Many marines walked to the side of the ship's rail and looked nervous at the warship that had broken through a hole. At this moment, inside the slightly dim warship, the strong smell of wine smelled, and Tobit was lying wet in the ruined wall. This was obviously where Marine was storing his drinks. Ahem. With a cough, he couldn't help but vomit blood, and Tobit's face turned pale. The iron body, coupled with the armed color, didn't even defend the opponent's punch. Dong dong. With a sound of footsteps approaching, Tobit stood up in embarrassment and looked at Chaos, then disappeared in vain and appeared in front of Chaos. Finger pistol. Seeing Tobit's index finger and middle finger closed, he quickly dyed his armed color and stabbed Chaos in the throat like a lightning bolt. This is a killer blow. Even a decimeter thick steel can be easily penetrated. When Chaos saw and heard that the color could be kept on, he easily tilted his head and took a step forward. His right fist turned black and struck Tobit's abdomen in amazement. At that time, an air pressure rushed out of Toby's special rear, directly piercing through the buildings at the end. Let the sun shine in, damaging the entire naval ship's accommodation. Vomit. Tobit bent his body, covered his abdomen with his hands and couldn't help kneeling on the ground. The whole flushed face was bulging with blue veins, and his eyes were gradually stained with bloodshot eyes, as if he would stare out in the next moment. The whole body has lost sensation, and Tobit can hardly perform other actions except for vomiting blood. It is indeed much weaker than Sakazuki. Chaos looked down at Tobit, completely different from what Sakazuki gave him. No pressure at all. In the sky outside, the golden giant sword moved horizontally beside the warship, and a golden chain was quickly split into the hole, which directly tied Tobit to the giant sword. There are also 10 seamen. Chaos stepped on the moonwalk and flew to the great sword, looking at the remaining marine on the pirate ship. Remember that my name is Golden Emperor Gaia Chaos. Go back and report to your boss to make my reward. I will tear up the ticket if I lose 100 million berry, and help me say hello to Sakazuki. The golden giant sword soared into the sky and quickly disappeared into the clouds, leaving only a group of sea soldiers who were stupefied. In the old forest in the back mountain of Magic Valley Town, the mountain stream where Madara Horsekiller was tied at first. There was a sound of breaking through the air from a kilometer high, and then a golden giant sword fell quickly, and finally it was suspended on the river and splashed with huge water splashes, and then moved horizontally to the shore and stood upright. The 10 seamen threatened and cursed, but none of them were afraid. Chaos gently waved his hand, the gold chains were loosened, and Tobit paled on the ground, and rushed towards Chaos as soon as he landed. Chaos put his hands on his shoulders and looked playful, like a cat playing with a mouse, but the chains on the golden giant sword flew out with the sound of breaking through the air, entangled Tobit and dragged him abruptly in one fell swoop. Tobit's finger pistol is only a decimeter away from Chaos' eyes. The pirate of damn it. Hanging uncontrollably, Tobit was pulled by a chain in a big font, and the violent struggle was just the sound of the golden leather. Let go of Tobit, Rear Admiral, damn pirate. The 10 seamen who were tied up were also struggling. Chaos just took a look, and then the chain entangled the mouth of the 10 seamen, leaving only a whimper. What do you want? Tobit is calm, but his eyes are full of anger. Don't be so angry, we can negotiate a deal. As long as you tell me the 6 cultivation methods and insights, I will let you go when I succeed in cultivation. My Golden Emperor came out and talked about the word faith. I don't want to use any torture methods. After all, I am very kind, not pervert. So hello, me, hello, everyone. Chaos was still so simple and neat, he didn't hide his purpose at all. Tobit stopped struggling, staring at Chaos, and suddenly laughed sarcastically. You, pirate. Trustworthy? It's up to you to kill, it's impossible to want 6 types. Tobit's face was full of irony, and his eyes were hard and firm. Even if he died, he would not let the pirate succeed. The 10 seamen behind him also looked at Chaos sarcastically. Chaos was not angry, first glanced at the 10 seamen who were tied up, and then chuckled around Tobit. You seem to be loved by your subordinates, I can feel that it is from the heart, and you should be a good marine based on this. Calm down, everyone, and talk about it. What I pursue is different from those cliché pirates who want to kill innocent people. They have no cultivation at all, so I am different. Chaos stretched out his hand and sent the pieces back, his face was full of disdain for the pirates. Come at me if you want to kill. Tobit gritted his teeth and glared at Chaos. This guy is so despicable. 10 seconds for you. My patience is limited. If you hesitate for a second, I will kill one. If you hesitate for more than 10 seconds, you have a total of 20 seconds. Even if I kill you all, I can go to another marine, it's just a waste of time. Chaos shrugged indifferently. Woohoo. The 10 seamen kept shaking their heads at Tobit, they were not afraid of death. Never bow your head to the pirate. Tobit's eyes were struggling, and he couldn't make him watch the men who followed him were killed. But, well, the time is up, what choice do you have? Chaos yawned with his hands on his shoulders, not looking anxious. You let them go first. Tobit gritted his teeth, he will bear all the consequences. Woohoo. The 10 seamen behind him struggled, and some of their eyes were red. They had anticipated it more or less. After all, this is their Tobit, Rear Admiral, a good officer who is willing to consider them. But they don't want to drag Tobit, Rear Admiral. Even if they can return safely this time, Tobit, Rear Admiral will be punished, and may even be imprisoned. This is Magic Valley Town, even if I let them go, I can't get out of here without warships. Chaos spread his hands. Then how do I believe you will keep your promise? Tobit stared coldly. Do you have another way, or I will kill one now? The chain stretched over, and a young marine looked at Chaos viciously, wishing to kill Chaos with his eyes. Stop. I promise you. If you can't keep your promise, even if you die, I will hold you. Tobit looked worried, but compromised. It's good to be like this early, wasting so much of my saliva. Chaos smiled, waved his chain and returned to his position. As the sun goes down, time slips through fingers like unholdable fine sand. A trance for half a month passed quietly. At Tropical Hotel, Chaos was naked, with strong muscles full of lines. While watching the news report in his hand, he offered a reward, while holding red wine with a smile on his mouth. Golden Emperor Gaia Chaos, Demon Fruit Power, offers a reward of 123 million. That's right. What Chaos is holding now is his own reward, 123 million. Although there is a lot of gap between the expected 200 million, but the first time he made his debut, he offered a reward of 123 million, which was considered a small peak. In addition to his own reward amount, there is also a lot of news about other pirate groups. The sea is still calm now. 5 days ago, Chaos let Tobit and other marines go. At first, Tobit and others couldn't believe it. After all, the pirates were all cunning and cruel, but Chaos really let them go. According to Chaos, he can be pervert, cruel, and frenzied, but he must maintain one advantage, that is, credit. People don't believe it and they won't stand. This is very important in Chaos's previous life. Even if the society is very impetuous, Chaos always attaches importance to credit. Say one is one. All things and people are like this. Like those with high credit, others will subconsciously and unconditionally believe that the road to life will be much smoother. Because of this, in the previous life, Chaos has a true close friend, the kind who will help out when selling a house. There are not many friends. As long as there is one such close friend, then this life will be considered as a friend in friendship. It was a success. At the same time, neighbors and neighbors trust Chaos very much. These are all established by Chaos with credit bit by bit. This is still the case in this life. In addition, Chaos is able to offer a reward of 123 million at one time this time, and it is estimated that there is also a Tobit reason. Otherwise, it is impossible to have such a high reward. According to normal circumstances, it is estimated to be only 70 to 80 million. Of course, these are nothing to do with Chaos. In the past half month, he has got what he wants: finger pistol, iron body, tempest kick, paper arts. He has all been a preliminary master. That's right, he succeeded in practicing tempest kick and other formulas in just half a month. At first, Tobit and Marines seemed to have seen a ghost. Even Chaos himself was a little unbelievable. In the end, thinking about it is to traverse to make the talent stronger, and at the same time, the foundation laid in the 3 years and 5 months, in fact, those have reached a critical point. As long as Chaos is given a direction, he will be able to gather and awaken naturally. For example, Iron Body, Chaos has been beaten for more than 3 years, not to mention that he has awakened the armed color. Tobit just talked about some skills and insights, and Chaos learned and even became a preliminary master within a day. And so are paper arts, tempest kick, etc. Needless to say, paper arts is simpler as long as you wake up. Tempest kick is also an extension of shaved, and moonwalk is also very easy. The solid foundation laid over the past 3 years is now accumulating. Mainly the soul talent brought by the crossing. It's time to go up there and take a look. Chaos put down his glass and looked at the blue sky outside the window. His golden fruit has a big flaw. At present, he can only change his physique into gold, and then manipulate the gold he touches. In other words, Chaos must carry gold at all times, otherwise he can only turn his physique into gold, which will weaken his combat effectiveness a lot. Unless Jin Jin Guo awakens, so that he can temporarily assimilate the surrounding environment. As for making gold out of thin air, it is still very far away. So next, Chaos intends to use the gold on Sky Island to develop some golden fruits, such as the amount of manipulation, flexibility and so on. Moreover, gold is very heavy and can be practiced with heavy loads. It is now the Sea Circle calendar at the end of July 1496, and there are almost 5 months left until 1497. Chaos intends to be stable again and wait until 1497. Roger has not yet entered the new world at this time, but he is coming soon. Call out. At a height of 100 meters, a golden rainbow blasted into the sky like a rocket, and Chaos stepped on the giant sword and shot straight towards the sky. 1,000 meters, 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers. The air began to become thinner, and at the same time the fierce wind was very strong. Passing through the layers of white clouds, suddenly a vast and boundless sea of clouds appeared in front of Chaos, but this was not the white sea of Sky Island, but a vast and uncultivated sea of normal clouds. The reason why Chaos stopped was because there was a very dreamy small island floating on the sea of clouds, with a rainbow reflected behind it, which was composed of most clouds and a small part of land. It looks like a wonderland suspended in the air, much more beautiful and real than those special effects in the movie. It can be said to be a miracle. Visalia? Chaos shoots towards the small island. If I remember correctly, this should be the island where Nami will practice in the future. Those who live on it are a group of veteran scholars who study meteorology, and they have not left Sky Island to float with the wind. When Chaos appeared, some of the old men above found out. After all, such a big golden giant sword, it's hard not to notice it. On the faintly green grass exuding fragrance, Chaos slowly fell, and behind him the golden giant sword was hanging down and moving along with Chaos. It is very visual. At first glance, he knew he was a strong one. Your Excellency is from Qinghai. Hardata and more than a dozen old men walked out of the weather room and looked a little nervous at Chaos on the grass. They are all a group of old men. Although they are much younger than 20 years later, they are still some 60 or 70-year-old men, and they are just meteorological scientists, but they have no combat effectiveness. I don't know what's going on in the last year. No one from Qinghai has come up for more than 10 or 2 decades, but some time ago, a group of pirates came up, like the Roger Pirates. I have also had a drink together, and they are very hardy. How long has this passed, and how come someone has come up again? Chaos looked at the old man with a waist and split into 2 fish-tailed snow-white beards, dressed in robes and pointed hats similar to Western wizards. Although he was still young, Chaos recognized it. It is the old scientist who rescued Nami and taught meteorology in the future. What do you say that is? Yes. Chaos gave a sunny smile, very kind. He intends to learn a little sailing knowledge. He does not need Grandmaster. He can probably judge the weather and direction, and he may use it in the future. The most terrifying thing about Pirate World is the weather, especially Grand Line in New World. Getting lost at sea is even more dangerous, even if Chaos can fly. What if you are seriously injured after fighting with the enemy and flee in the wrong direction? Once your energy is exhausted, won't you be done? So learn a little bit of sailing knowledge to be prepared. If he didn't get here, he would really ignore it. My name is Gaia Kaios. I heard that there are a group of the world's most powerful meteorologists in Visalia, so I came to visit and want to learn some knowledge about weather and navigation. Chaos didn't blink his eyes, and he said the same thing. My name is Harita, so that's how it is. The old men breathed a sigh of relief, as long as there is no hostility. In this way, Chaos stayed in Visalia for 10 days, and soon the master had some basic weather. He had never been so smart. He doesn't have any foundation in meteorological science, but he can learn quickly. Chaos confirmed again. He is a genius. He was a scum in his last life. If he has the talent of this life, wouldn't it be easy to get a national champion in the college entrance examination? The past can't bear to look back. Probably the master had some knowledge of weather, and Chaos bid farewell to Harada and the others, soaring into the sky and shooting towards a higher sky. At the same time, a permanent pointer was added to the right wrist. It is exactly the same as the one worn by Nami after his practice. Passing through the layers of white clouds, the gust of wind has become fiercer and the air has become thinner. Following the route given by Harada, Chaos did not rush into the White Sea directly, but flew to the edge of the land. You must know that there are 2 white seas on Sky Island. The first is at an altitude of 7,000 meters, called Baihai. The other is 10,000 meters above the sky. This is called Baihai, where the real Sky Island is located. It's really a miracle. Standing under the sky, Chaos came directly to the White Sea. Looking at the magnificent scenery in front of him, he couldn't help but sigh. A green island can be vaguely seen in the special sea of clouds. Dreamlike and magical. It's vast but beautiful, hard to describe in words. Calculate the time. At this time the god of Sky Island should be gone fewer. Looking up, an island full of greenery and a lot of mud is located above the entire White Sea. The Island of Gods, Apayado, is known as the Sanctuary, the place where the gods live. Part of Gaia Island. Chaos continued to fly upward. His face was a little uncomfortable, and the environment here was a little bit pressured on him. But as long as you adapt, your physique will definitely strengthen a lot. Luxury enough. Under the sun, a huge palace is magnificent, all made of gold. Even the square floor tiles are gold. Chaos landed on the ground, crouched down and covered it with his right palm, using the golden fruit ability, and the entire building complex was in the master. Places like this are simply tailor-made for Chaos. Golden fruits can not only turn into gold in physique, but also manipulate gold, provided that the gold Chaos has touched it before. Just when Chaos just stood up, a team in armor and holding a spear came out of the palace, headed by a thin old man. also wearing armor, with a giant sword slung around his waist. Gonfeuer, a god who loves his people, allows the residents of Sky Island to live a happy and healthy life, and is also a god loved by his people. Much younger than the future, a native of Qinghai, Gonfeuer frowned and saw the identity of Chaos at a glance. They are very similar to Roger. After all, Sky Island people and Qinghai people can tell at a glance. Someone trespassed into the sanctuary. A priest does not have as good a temper as Gonfeuer. Some time ago, the pirates were not polite at all. If they weren't blocked by an adult, he would want the group to look good. Now that this guy saw God, he didn't pay respect. Schnauzer. Gonfeuer stopped the priest and looked at Chaos with a calm face. Is your excellency from Qinghai? Don't mind if I take the gold from the entire Sky Island. Chaos shrugged, and the golden long sword erected on his back made a lot of priests and warriors look at him frequently, just because the huge sword was suspended in the air and stood above the man's back. Very shocking. The greedy people in Qinghai are really here for gold. Shui Nairui showed such an expression as expected, and decisively ordered, catch him. Those who didn't know thought he was God. Isn't it good to have a pleasant conversation? Just use force? Chaos looked at the soldiers rushing and said they were stupid or stupid. Lifting his right hand with a light wave, the entire golden ground vibrated, and several tributaries quickly stretched out like octopus tentacles, which immediately tied everyone in the air. How come the ground? Damn it. Chaos just waved his hand and wiped out these groups easily. Simple and effortless. Please don't hurt them. Gonfeuer was in a hurry. He was safe and sound alone. From this point of view, he was as strong as Roger and the others. Can you talk about it now? With a move of Chaos's mind, the golden branches of the demons danced back to calm, and the entire square remained the same. See Circle Calendar 1497, February. The whole sea was surging as always. Eating the weak, killing and looting are being staged every day. The life and death of a huge kingdom may be destroyed by a pirate group. Personal force is one of the factors that caused the collapse of this world order. 10,000 meters above the sky, Apaya, the island of gods. In a lush forest, the vegetation here is very tough and the thickest trees need more than 30 people to turn around hand in hand, and because of the environment, they are as hard as ironware. Boom boom boom. The entire jungle suddenly shook, and I saw a golden mountain in the distance, 50 meters high, undulating upwards and downwards, and it was frightening just to look at it. On the palace square, Gonfeuer looks from which direction to see the golden mountain. At this moment, the old face is not strange, and his eyes are full of admiration. 998. 999. 1000. At the bottom of the golden mountain, Chaos was naked doing push-ups, sweating all over his back, and the strong muscles were beating with veins, especially the blood vessel in his neck, which looked extremely hideous. Boom. Chaos threw away the golden mountain and fell to the ground. The surrounding mountains were all a jump. Lie down on the ground and take a breath. Chaos hair damply draped on his head, very tired. At this moment, the birds and beasts in the distance were startled, and a large piece of grass and vegetation broke and collapsed, as if there was some wild beast running around, and it was indeed a beast. Crack. The giant tree broke and collapsed, and a terrifying giant snake head sprang out of the forest, at least the size of a house. Going down the snake's head, the snake's body spread to the forest, but the head is not visible. It may be thought that it is a small mountain range, and the size of the snake is big and scary. Such a huge snake, walking in front of Chaos at this moment, erected his upper body to block the sun. The blood-red eyes did not have the cold blood as imagined, but with a trace of flattery, or even fear. That's right. This giant snake is the Nolan Python, the Lord of the Sky 20 years later. Luffy and others thought it was entering the cave and brought out 300 million Baileys worth of gold from it. 7 months ago, when Chaos first came to Sky Island, he used his overwhelming strength to clean up Gonfeuer and others. Chaos did not rule by saying that he would drive Gonfeuer off the altar and become the god himself. With this 1-acre 3-point field, only Enel can be regarded as the world. Chaos didn't have the time to be the god of a small island, or the god of the sea below. Sky Island is at best a place for him to rest, and it may become his second base camp when he builds up power in the future. Now, as long as Chaos said, Gonfeuer still dare not defy, and can only honestly and respectfully execute Chaos orders, but the residents of Sky Island don't know it. The priests and warriors of the entire island of gods actually acquiesced. Fortunately, Chaos didn't ask too much, at most some food. I didn't do anything wrong or kill innocent people in Sky Island. I practiced for 7 months in addition to practicing. And Nolan, it was this giant snake. When the two sides met for the first time, Chaos almost roasted it. At the critical moment, it was Gon Fowler's plea. With Nolan's own pitiful begging for mercy, Chaos was kind and relieved. Pass. Since then, Nolan has become Chaos's little follower, just like the little tiger, the little lion, and the little jaw, who will accompany Chaos to practice cultivation from time to time. Practice new tricks with me. Chaos stood up and stretched, his wet hair grew longer, a little messy and sloppy. He didn't know how long he hadn't cut his hair, and he rarely stayed on the island of God. The right hand grabbed the golden mountain in the air, and then 1/55 of the gold separated and floated in the air. As Chaos grabbed it, it exploded like a firework, and a large piece of golden powder was scattered for a while, and the surroundings became golden. Nolan, with an innocent look, was soaked and stained with a lot of gold powder, but the strange thing was that the gold powder melted into the body without a sound. Before Nolan could move, the huge body flew uncontrollably. At this time Nolan panicked. The giant snakehead showed a flustered expression, and kept yelling at Chaos. But Chaos directly ignored it. With the continuous manipulation of his hands, Nolan's huge body began to transform into various shapes of ABCDYFJ in the air, as well as love, bows, and so on. Now it depends on whether Nolan is flat or round. After playing for more than 10 minutes, as the ground shook, Nolan hit the ground, shook his huge head, and complained to Chaos. Just now, he was tossed so hard that his waist was almost broken. But Chaos ignored it again. At this time, he pinched his chin and looked at the sky. The dense gold powder formed the 3 characters of Golden Emperor, which burst open for a while to form various words, even pictures. God's Control, this is the name of the move that Chaos got. It is to copy Gilder Tezzolo's golden water splash, turn the gold into powder and integrate it into the organism, and then control the organism by manipulating the gold powder. Just like Doflamingo's parasite string. Chaos couldn't help sighing. In the past 7 months, whether it's golden fruit, 6-style or 2-color hockey, all have become a lot stronger. But the golden fruit still hasn't cultivated to awakening after all, and there is still life to return. At the beginning, I planned to practice for 5 months, but it turned into 7 months in the blink of an eye. Chaos always feels that time has become very fast, and may be too ecstatic in his cultivation. Unknowingly, he has been in this world for 4 years, plus 2 months. It's a long time. It's almost time to leave Sky Island and die. How can you improve your combat effectiveness faster if you don't die? How can the world know his Golden Emperor's name? At the same time, Chaos also saw the words engraved by Roger on the golden clock, and knew from Gone Forward that the Roger pirates had not left for a few months before he came. At that time, he hadn't been to Demon Valley Town, and he might have encountered it a few months earlier. In Chaos's opinion, Roger is really not a good person. As Marine said, he is a pirate with the most sinister crime. No matter how decayed the rule of the world government is, at least it can maintain a certain order. From a general perspective, the existence of world government is necessary and important. But after Roger started the era of great pirates, the number of pirates in the world has increased day by day. I don't know how many orphans, widows, burnings, looting, blood flow, etc. have been caused. And it lasted for more than 20 years. Regardless of Roger's starting point and purpose, whether it is good or bad, it is absolutely heinous for the next 20 years. Innocent people who died because of him are counted in tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions. Chaos is looking forward to meeting this ruthless man. Master Golden Emperor, it's time for dinner. A group of soldiers in the distance pushed 3 large carts of food, and it was obvious that they had done no less in the past 7 months, and the time was less than 1 second and less than a second. The happiest thing is Nolan. The originally wronged Snakeface suddenly became enraged, opening his mouth and dripping saliva, even corroding the ground. It is obviously poisonous. Too excited, the venom confiscated. You must know that there is a car in it that belongs to him, although he can only try it out. Yep. Chaos nodded, turned around and sat cross-legged to start enjoying. All kinds of meat legs, fruits, vegetables, and drinks are available, very comprehensive. Little guy, I'm leaving tomorrow. Chaos gnawed at the fleshy leg, just like a bone, and looked at Nolan as he chewed. Nolan, who had enjoyed his share of food happily, raised his head and blinked continuously, making him even happier. The beast is finally leaving. You seem to be very happy. Chaos squinted his eyes slightly. He thought that the two were already friends. After all, they had been together for 7 months. Shouldn't it be reluctant to give up? Why does this guy want him to leave? Hiss. This evening, Chaos gave Nolan a lesson, the kind of warm-blooded and warm one. Dawn breaks. As the sun rises, the scenery at an altitude of 10,000 meters is magnificent. Above the white clouds, the rainbows are like the galaxy at night, shining and splendid. Suddenly there was a sound of breaking through the air, a large shadow blocking the sun. When the lens was pulled in, it was a goddess. A golden, godly beauty, noble, and not stained with a trace of dust. With crescent eyebrows, white teeth, delicate features, and beautiful lines, it has a peerless face, a seat of waist-length gold silk and long hair flying in the squally wind, and the lifelike Tadio skirt made of stitches and stitches, makes the huge weapon and surplus. The grip of the waist showed vividly. Holding an exquisite gold ribbon with both hands and wrists, even though it was made by Jinkan gold, it was dancing like reality in the strong wind. The delicate, small and exquisite bare feet are even more integrated. At the same time, there is a huge golden aperture standing in the air behind. But the most shocking thing is that this slender goddess, who is full of sacred and noble temperament, is 50 meters tall, which is taller than ordinary buildings. Look for another hour. If you haven't found it, then give up. On the slender palm of the goddess, Chaos wore an open-chested shirt showing 8-pack abs, the bangs on his forehead and mini gold knife earrings swayed, and he looked at the white sky with his hands on his back. In this way, it is no longer arrogant and high-profile to describe it. It is full of visual, subversive, mysterious and dreamy. From a distance, Chaos is a god. At this moment, the goddess behind him can also be said to be the golden goddess. After all, it was made of a lot of gold. It's just that the platoon of the golden goddess doesn't sound very hockey, so Chaos named him the goddess. Chaos is still very satisfied with his masterpiece of these 7 months. The 50-meter-high gold is counted among his masters. The more gold, the stronger the golden fruit of Chaos. At present, he can only control so much gold as he wants, and no matter how much gold he can control. But that would be a great burden. After all, just manipulating so much gold to fly in the sky would consume Chaos's physical strength all the time. It's a pity that I haven't awakened, otherwise I don't need to carry so much gold with me. Compared to physical exhaustion, Chaos's spirit is the heaviest burden. Since the awakening of seeing and hearing color, except for rest and sleep, Chaos is released all the time, so that the scope of seeing and hearing color perception continues to expand, but there is still no awakening of such extensions as predicting the future, manipulating emotions, sound of all things, and reading mental memories. Ability. The reason why Chaos appeared here was to find Burka where Enel was located, and see if he could find Thunder Fruit. At this time, Enel seemed to be only 11 or 12 years old, and perhaps he hadn't eaten Thunder Fruit yet. Even if you eat it, you can cultivate it. It is a pity that after bidding farewell to Gon Foer and others this morning, he looked for it all morning and did not find it. And this direction is still looking for according to Harita, but still no shadow is seen when flying around. So Chaos intends to look for it for another hour and not look for it. The big deal is when Enel goes to Sky Island to be a god before returning to Sky Island. Now Sky Island is its own domain, and no one else can get involved. Marineford, located on the Grand Line, is a very large island. To maintain law and order throughout the world with absolute justice, the iconic flag is a seagull carrying a sky bridge, symbolizing the maintenance of world peace and order. It was the base of Marine directly under the world government, and was later regarded as a symbol of peace in the Big Pirate Age. Majestic and majestic, you can feel the majestic majesty just standing on the coast, and it is just right to interpret the majesty. You can see warships docking everywhere, and a fleet of Marines is even more solemn. Especially the muzzle on the defensive device, just looking at it makes people tremble. The center is the headquarters building, which is more magnificent and magnificent. It is not a simple figure who can enter and exit it, whether it is a civilian or a combatant. At this moment, in the East Port, a huge battleship like a fortress, many pirates are transporting supplies. Garp Vice Admiral. Garp Vice Admiral, are you going to pursue the Roger pirates again? At this time, a few figures came out of the headquarters building. It was Marine hero Garp who was not the leader. Garp is now in his prime, and his hair is not white. Just walking around is inexplicably powerful. Next to him is a young man who is behaving like a fool, and it is the future Admiral Aokiji Kuzan. There are also several generals such as Vice Admiral and Rear Admiral of Garp. Many Marines greeted him along the way, and Garp grinned and laughed. Asshole Garp, you pushed me the task again. On the top few floors of the headquarters building, a deafening roar covered the square, and quickly spread to Garp. Many sea soldiers who heard the roar were not surprised, When they heard this angry voice, they knew that it was the voice of Sengoku, the Admiral Buddha. Everyone was used to it. Haha. Let's go quickly. Garp, who was not in a hurry at first, heard the roar, turned his head to the headquarters building and hurriedly stepped up. He got the latest information that the fellow Roger appeared in Sabodi Archipelago, and he probably wanted to go to the Fishman Island. So he planned to catch Roger at the Sabodi Archipelago. As for his original mission, he would just leave it to Sengoku, Zephyr, and Suru. Anyway, he could do the job. It is worth mentioning that Zephyr's current family has been killed by pirates, and now retains the admiral rank as an instructor, and is cultivating excellent marines for marine. Sakazuki, Paluzolino, Kuzan, Ghost Spiders, and Burning Mountains have all been cultivated. Although he is in semi-retirement, Zephyr will still go to sea as long as marine needs it. Now he just hates the pirate, and he also has expectations for marine. The most important point is that the arm is still there, which also means that Zephyr's combat effectiveness has not been weakened at all, and it can completely compete with the powerhouses such as Whitebeard, Golden Lion, and Lonely Red. Black Arm Admiral is not just talking. Even now Kaido and Big Mom don't dare to be too presumptuous in front of Zephyr. Looking at the present and the future, only Garp, Zephyr, and the early Lonely Red are the legends that only rely on physical skills. Other legends are almost occupied by Devil Fruit. This is the real tough guy. Garp Vice Admiral is still so capricious. Sengoku Admiral seems to be very angry. It doesn't matter, Sengoku Admiral died out after half a day. As the giant ship left the port, many marine generals were dumbfounded. At this time, in the headquarters building, Sengoku was yelling in the office, looking so angry. Crane sighed and looked helpless. Originally, Garp's mission was to go to the New World to stare at the Golden Lion. Now the Golden Lion's power is getting bigger and bigger, and it can be said that it is the most powerful pirate group in the sea. But Garp is now carrying the burden, so this task will have to be replaced by another person. He also needs to go to New World, and I heard that Kaido is bewitching again. There are also Big Mom, Whitebeard, and some other big pirates, such as World Destroyer. All of them are insecure. We can only let Zephyr go. Sengoku cursed a few words to restore his calm, rubbing his forehead and sighed. If possible, he really didn't want to trouble Zephyr. After all, the pain of passing away in his family was too heavy. Even if Zephyr has recovered, it is no longer the amazing Black Arm that used to be. They are also very distressed. Let me go to the college. In the end, he took the initiative to say, "Asshole Garp." Sengoku couldn't help cursing again. Guest, your coffee, fruit platter in the latest issue of the news. Sabodi Archipelago. The whole island is composed of many big trees, and the ground is the root of the tree, and bubbles will emerge from the ground. Located in front of the Red Line in the middle of the Grand Line. It is an island with an extremely important geographical location. Although it is very beautiful and prosperous, it still follows the most basic rules of the pirate world. Just 10,000 meters below this island is the Fishman Island. Like Sky Island, it is full of miracles. In the #1 mangrove area, in a 5-story outdoor cafe, Chaos is sitting on the grass on the rooftop and enjoying afternoon tea. From 1 to 29, mainly human trafficking shops, human auctions, illegal areas, etc. Chaos sat on the chair under the sun umbrella, picked up the coffee that the waiter had put down, and took a sip to watch the pirates coming and going on the street below. This area is similar to the town of Magic Valley. If you don't agree with each other on the street, you will draw your sword. Most of them are pirates from all over the world. He did not find Burka yesterday, so it took a while to come to Sabodi Archipelago. After sitting here for an hour, he saw pirates fighting 3 times on the street. There were more than 100 pirate thugs who died or were caught. Thieves, insults, killing and robbing, bullying men and women are more commonplace. The most unlucky is the pirates who have lost the rage, and they may be waiting for auction at the auction now. The latter half of his life is considered a slave. Moreover, in broad daylight, a few big men might rush out at any time and stare at those well-worn women with sack, then quickly disappear into the alley after putting on the sack. 100% will be sold. The sea circle is really messy. Chaos tilted Erlang's legs, the gold ring on his middle finger turned into a mini fork, and he automatically inserted a piece of fruit into his mouth. If he crosses to Sabodi Archipelago at the beginning, the ending is really hard to say. Spreading out the latest issue of the newspaper, Chaos sips his coffee from time to time with his legs folded, and feeds a piece of fruit with a golden fork from time to time. He enjoys this leisurely day. It's worthy of attracting One Piece to become his right-hand man, New World's most powerful pirate group, there is no one. Most of this issue of the news report is about the Flying Pirates, which is the Golden Lion. At present, the force of the Flying Pirates group is the number one deservedly in the entire sea. Not only is it rampant in New World, but also looking at that posture as to unify New World. From time to time, they would fight against some stubborn pirate groups, defeat them strongly and then regroup, making New World turbulent. The captain of the First Fleet, Predator Axos, is offering a reward of 1.738 billion. The captain of the Second Fleet, Hornose King Lubit, is offering a reward of 1.670 million. Captain of the 20th Fleet, Horned Jacket, is offering a reward of 330 million. At present, there are 20 fleet captains under Golden Lion, and each of them is a famous big pirate. The weakest captain of the 20th Fleet has offered a reward of 330 million. In other words, the captains of these fleets offer higher rewards as they move forward, and the most basic bottom line is 300 million. In this era, what is the concept of 330 million? In Luffy's era, it was at least 5 or 6 billion. Not counting the subordinates under the command of these 20 fleet captains, there are at least 1 or 2 billion people, and those under 100 million or even more of a cow. As far as power is concerned, if Golden Lion abandons dominating the world and wants to be the One Piece, it is estimated that Roger will have nothing to do with it. Roger became the One Piece, nothing more than reaching Raftel. The fact that the power can't be compared with the Flying Pirates is the kind of shortcut. According to Chaos, there are 2 ways to become One Piece. The first is to take a shortcut like Roger, round the sea to reach the final island Raftel. The other is to conquer the entire pirate world with absolute strength and influence, which is somewhat similar to the current Golden Lion. It's a pity that this road is too difficult. After all, in terms of combat power alone, many people can still face the Golden Lion hard steel, and Golden Lion can't help it. Strong people like this are all walking Big Ivan. The power of Golden Lion won't play a big role. On the contrary, you have to worry that this kind of powerhouse will deal specifically with your subordinates, which is the most troublesome. But Golden Lion's ambition is not only that, what he wants is not to become the One Piece, but to dominate the world and become the king of the world. Isn't this just to overthrow the world government and change the dynasty? It's worth it. To put it bluntly, the Flying Pirates are now the absolute overlord of the sea, but wanting to overthrow the world government can only be said to be idiotic. Just a marine can hold down most of its power, not even other hidden institutions in the world government. It is not just a matter of ruling for 800 years. A lean camel is bigger than a horse. How can it be so easy to say that there is no foundation for 800 years? So Golden Lion's ambition will eventually fail. Unless Whitebeard, Roger, Lonely Red, World Destroyer, Kaido, Big Mom, etc., the powerful and forces all add up and work together to overthrow the world government, there may be some hope. But which one of these people is not an ambitious, strong man with a higher heart, and who will surrender to the Golden Lion? But it is undeniable that the Overlord, the hero, and the King Golden Lion are well deserved. This is a man with a super charming personality. After reading the news about the Flying Pirates, Chaos opened a page to reveal other news. Most of them are still related to pirates. Look, that is. My God, why does this kind of big pirate appear in Saboti Archipelago? Suddenly the street was noisy and noisy. Most of the pirates looked towards the street with solemn faces, where a group of people appeared from far to near, headed by a 5-meter-high burly man whose hands were thicker than his thighs, walking on the ground. It all seemed to be shaking. A fierce and evil spirit flooded the streets unscrupulously. Wherever they went, the crowds gave way, and they all dared not pant. Captain of the 20th Fleet of the Flying Pirates, Horned Jacket. A reward of 330 million is offered. 330 million, just this reward can scare a group of people. What's more, the captain of the fleet under the Fikong pirate group, even the weakest one, is also a resounding overlord in the sea. Gwahaha. The Horned Dragon Jacket S took arrogant steps, and a group of men behind him were carrying knives or guns. All of them were extremely arrogant. Among them, there were 80 to 9 million, 1 or 200 million pirates. 80 to 9 million, or more than 100 million pirates in Demon Valley Town are big pirates, but now these so-called big pirates are just other people's men. Backed by the Flying Pirate Group, the Horned Jacket can almost walk sideways on the sea, as long as it doesn't provoke the strong who can't provoke it. Captain, why did the Admiral want to subdue the Roger pirates? He even asked you to come and pass the message in person. The crowds on the street were all separated, and a pirate beside Ceratop's Jacket spoke with a somewhat impatient expression. In his opinion, it is enough to send any subordinates. Although the Roger pirate group has been well known in the sea during this time, compared with their flying pirate group, it is the difference between Firefly and Haoyue. Gwahaha. No one dares to reject the will of the admiral. If the Roger pirates are not acquainted, I will just kill it. Ha ha ha. A kind of pirate laughed brazenly and didn't pay attention to Roger pirates at all. In another house, a large piece of sand condensed into shape. A handsome young man with a big back, earrings on his right ear, and a cigar in his left hand, wearing a plaid long-sleeved shirt, looked at the horned dragon jacket on the street. C and his party were full of contempt in their eyes. The captain of the 20th Fleet of the Flying Pirates, 330 million Baileys, is very suitable to be my stepping stone to New World. What? Kaios, who was looking at the street while drinking coffee, suddenly tilted his head to look at the roof in the distance. When the piece of sand condensed into a body, Chaos was slightly surprised. Even though he is still young, isn't that iconic big-backed and cigar-smoking gangster temperament? Isn't it the old Sir Crocodile who can carry 81 million berry in the future, but who can do a few tricks with anyone? That's right. Crocodile was still a young man of 18 or 19 years old at this time, but he has already made a name for himself in the Grand Line. It's just that I can't bear to look directly at the reward. Is it 20 million or 30 million? What does this guy want? Chaos glanced back and forth over Crocodile and Ceratop's jacket. Crocodile of this period, like most young pirates, was not afraid of the sky, was on the top of the blood, and believed that Lousy was in a state of self-confidence, and self-confidence is the only one in the world. Good guy. Now only offering a reward of 20 to 30 million Baileys, he has already targeted a pirate at the level of 300 million Baileys. Whether it is bold or confident, it is undeniable that Crocodile is very kind. This is the young man. Who hasn't been frivolous when he was young? Kaios originally wanted to brush his presence and reputation on the Ceratop's jackets, but now he plans to wait. Just as Chaos guessed, the young and energetic Crocodile is indeed eyeing the head of the horned dragon jacket. Wow. The sand burst, Crocodile elementalized and disappeared on the roof, and when it appeared, it had blocked the path of the Ceratop's jacket and his party. Ceratop's jacket, I want your head. Crocodile looked contemptuously, dangling a cigar in his mouth, looking at the horned jackets and the crowd who paused. The whole street is now audible. Not only the Ceratop's jackets, but all the other pirates looked at Crocodile in a bit of astonishment. You. What did you say? It took a long time for Jackets' men to come back to their senses, and puckered their ears to think that they had misheard. Desert knife. Facing the smirk of the pirates, the Crocodile didn't say much. His right arm turned into a sand blade and raised it with a wave, and the hard ground was cut open in a moment, and rushed to the Ceratop's jacket and the group in one fell swoop. Court death. A pirate was furious, pulled out his waist with double knives and rushed out, crossing directly in front of him. With his feet sinking deep into the ground, 2 traces were drawn, forcibly shattering Crocodile's slash. Who gave you the courage to want my head? Jackets stopped the eager subordinates, looking at Crocodile cruelly in their eyes. Humph. Desert sword. Crocodile looked cold and arrogant, and he didn't bother to answer Jackie's question. He kept his right hand in the state of a sandy blade, and directly inserted into the ground for a moment to shake the mountain. The next moment Jackie's foot shot a big sand sword rushing towards his waist in an attempt. Divide the jacket in half. At the time of the war on the top, this trick cut Sakazuki in half, but it didn't have much effect. Ding. There was no imaginary separation of flesh and blood. The waist of the jacket was stained with a layer of dark material, and the sand sword was only splashed with a trace of sparks on it, and there were no traces left. To become the captain of the 20th Fleet under the Flying Pirates, and to offer a reward of 330 million, it is impossible without hockey. In New World, hockey is the most basic. Without hockey, it is impossible to become the captain of the fleet. Moreover, the armament hockey level of such a jacket is not low. An attack like Crocodile that easily cuts the ground or even steel does not even leave a trace on the waist. Crocodile frowned, obviously not thinking that his attack would be useless. Boy, I don't know who gave you the courage to provoke Lousy. Thinking of a stupid guy like you, I don't know how many I killed. The oppressive posture steps towards Crocodile like a shadow. Jacket's fierce face is full of cruelty, and he likes to tear these self-righteous guys to pieces. Desert King Kong knife. Crocodile didn't retreat but moved forward. He didn't put Jackets in his eyes at all. He rushed out first to form 4 huge sand blades with his hands, and rushed towards Jackets with the sound of breaking through the air. Jacket made a fist dyed with armed color, and did not dodge or dodge a fist. The loud blast formed a shock wave, and it smashed into Crocodile in one fell swoop. Snapped. Crocodile exploded, forming a pile of sand splashing around, but in the next second it recondensed 5 meters away. Logia capable person. Jackets was a little surprised, including the pirates all over the street. You know Logia is the strongest among all devil fruits. No wonder it's so arrogant, it turns out to be a Logia capable person. Jackets was surprised and disdainful. He could tell at a glance that this guy could only be so arrogant only with Logia, not even hockey. It can only rise in the first half of the Grand Line in the whole world. If you go to New World to provoke some strong players, you may be taught how to behave. 330 million, but so, Crocodile dangling his cigar, as arrogant as ever. Since eating this devil fruit, no one has hurt him, even if he is hit, it is useless. He is invincible. On the open-air roof in the distance, Chaos looked at the arrogant crocodile with his legs upright, and couldn't help but shook his head with a trace of sympathy. Still too young. Arrogance must also be supported by strength. In the face of ordinary pirates, Crocodile is indeed qualified to be arrogant. After all, Logia's elementalization is completely immune to physical attacks. Crocodile obviously doesn't know hockey yet, even hockey doesn't even know it. Maybe I've heard of it, but I didn't take it seriously. And the horned jacket that he is facing now, he can feel the armed overbearing from far away. Maybe Crocodile will be planted here today. But Crocodile is no ordinary person, even in the face of hundreds of millions or billions of pirates, he can do a few tricks. This can be regarded as an expression of talent and strength. Gwahaha. Crocodile's contempt caused Jacket to laugh furiously. The guy in front of him obviously thought Logia was invincible. Boom. A bombed jacket on the ground under his feet disappeared in place, and Crocodile's face changed in vain. Puff. He bent his body and couldn't stop vomiting blood, his arrogant face gradually twisted, and his bloodshot eyes were full of disbelief. Rumble. A series of houses collapsed, billowing smoke covered the street, and among the ruins of a ruined wall 50 meters away, Crocodile was lying at the end of the ravine, his face pale, and his mouth and nose couldn't stop bleeding. He felt that his entire internal organs were mixed together, his big back was not neat, and he didn't even know where the cigar was flying in his mouth. How can it be? Crocodile was a little skeptical of life, he was actually attacked. Seeing Jackets coming over with a grinning grin, Crocodile stood up on the broken wall and couldn't help but spit out blood again. Shaw-Lan. He gritted his teeth and stretched out his right hand, a small dust storm swirled in the palm of his hand. Crocodile threw his face at the jacket fiercely, and finally formed a 50-meter-high sandstorm with wind speed, which swept the surrounding debris and broken walls with great destructive power. But the next scene made Crocodile doubt life even more. Jacket still didn't dodge, his whole body was dyed in pitch-black armed color from head to toe, as if the iron tower was full of oppressiveness and let the sandstorm swept in, and the surrounding ground was continuously stripped and lifted off, but Jacket remained motionless. He fisted at the storm and was forcibly pierced through a hole. Jacket stood condescendingly in front of Crocodile, his eyes full of abuse. Boy, Logia is very strong, but you are too weak. Arc moon-shaped dunes. As soon as Jacket's words fell, Crocodile roared fiercely, his arm deserted to form a huge crescent-shaped sand blade, and he passed Jacket's shoulder in one fell swoop. This trick is not lethal, and its only purpose is to absorb the water in the biological body. But Crocodile's move failed again. Now that the jacket is fully armed with hockey, it is impossible to lose moisture if it is airtight. How can it be? Crocodile's mouth was full of blood, and couldn't believe the jacket would be intact. Boom. A huge shadow suddenly hit. Crocodile stopped in front of him with both hands, not daring to let Jackets attack as before. The force of terror is like a mountain. Crocodile's face flew out in pain, unable to stop his body from piercing through the buildings, leaving a tattered gully and then shooting on a mangrove, breaking and falling diagonally to the ground, splashing a series of sand and dust. The mud, eventually vomiting blood, does not stop lying at the end of the gully. Elementalization has lost its effect, unless you take the initiative in advance. Before panting, there was a cracking sound from his head. Crocodile resisted the pain and burst into a pile of flying sand. In the next moment, the earth shook, and the ground broke out in a radius of several hundred meters. Pieces of mud splashed like a meteor shower. The sensation caused many pirates shivered. More than 10 meters away, Crocodile had just condensed his body. A black whip leg swept across the army. Crocodile's face was bloody, and his right hand formed a sand blade and roared against it. But the sand blade, which had never been unfavorable, was easily broken when it collided with that whip leg. While the whip leg trend continued, it swept across Crocodile's chest in one fell swoop, and as the flying sand splashed in the sky, Crocodile flew out, tumbling and crashing on the ground in the mountains along the way. Boom boom. Jackets fell from the sky, one foot after another, deep into the ground, and Crocodile kept using elemental flying shots, and it would be rubbed just a little slower. Damn. Desert prison. Crocodile roared. He didn't believe that he had no backhand strength. After breaking a mangrove, his entire right arm was deserted and grabbed the jacket, trying to absorb the moisture in the opponent's body again. Jackets sneered, allowing Crocodile to grab his neck, and the armed color closed his body to form a barrier, completely blocking Crocodile's ability. Puff. The pitch-black fist struck Crocodile's abdomen in one fell swoop, as if he was about to go deep into it and constantly agitated. Crocodile bent his body for the first time, and a blast of air pressure broke out behind his feet from the ground, breaking the floating bubbles in the air. Boy, weren't you crazy just now? Your Logia hasn't cultivated home yet. Jacket grabbed Crocodile's hair with his big hands and smiled grinningly. Now Crocodile's face is distorted due to pain, and his eyes are bulging and bloodshot, as if he is about to jump out of his eye sockets. He is constantly bleeding in his mouth and nose. The punch just now almost shocked his body. The arrogance at the beginning, now only embarrassment and embarrassment are left. Young. On the open-air roof, Chaos held coffee and watched a good show.
Crocodile is really young now, and obviously he hasn't cultivated to the state where anyone can show a few strokes in the future.
The future Shichibukai is still growing. In other words, it is the supernova of this era. Looking up, the clouds were floating at an altitude of 5,000 meters. A golden goddess opened her closed golden eyes in vain, and then landed vertically. On the ground at this moment, Jacket grabbed Crocodile's hair as if carrying a chicken. Boy, because you are a Logia-capable person, you can spare your life by surrendering to me. Although Jackets is the captain of the 20th Fleet, he has always wanted to go one step further, such as becoming the captain of the 19th, 18th, or even the top 5 fleets, so it is necessary for him to recruit some powerful men. Although this Logia imp is still very weak, but it has great potential.
You only need to practice for 1 or 2 years under his guidance, and you will definitely become a strong one.
Maybe it can also be shoulder to shoulder with Marine's 3 rookies Rear Admiral. And the Grand Admiral appreciates these potential new pirates. Boom. There was almost no warning, and there was a sudden sound of breaking through the sky, and a black spot was continuously enlarged and amplified, tearing the air like a meteorite, and shocked most of the Saboti archipelago. Jackets looked up for the first time, and his face became serious. At the same time, some powerful pirates of Saboti archipelago all looked up to the sky, and the ordinary residents also looked up one after another. When they saw the huge figure getting closer, everyone's eyes were shocked and panicked. The camera keeps pulling away, and the entire Saboti archipelago stands on the rough sea, and in the air only 30 meters above the ground, a celestial lady who is golden, full of sacredness and beauty, has a huge, line-like, ethereal figure, like the mountain blocked the sun. The breathtaking colored ribbon palace dress, the exquisite gold ribbon held by both hands and wrists, and the waist-length 3,000 gold silk dancing in the sea breeze, behind the huge golden light wheel erected, sacred and inviolable. God. What is this? Oh my God. Is the whole body gold? It is 50 meters high visually. Some were attracted by the sacred face of the goddess, and some were attracted by the huge slim body. It turned out to be made of gold at a glance and a smile. And the gold does not contain the slightest impurity. The most important thing is that she is alive. This is the most shocking and impactful. At this moment, the phoenix eyes of the goddess are cold and contain no human fireworks, overlooking the entire ground and finally staring at Crocodile's jacket. Now Crocodile is staying. Just because the corners of the mouth of the goddess were drawn in vain, the temperament and charm that she revealed was inexplicably dignified and elegant, even enchanting. But still not blasphemy. Damn it. The jacket's hairs blasted up, just because the goddess raised her slender hand in vain and snapped it at him. The sky seemed to be dark, and the golden hand was like a dark cloud, coming menacingly with the appearance of breaking through the sky. Crocodile was also considered smart. He slammed a punch at the first time, forcing Jackets to loosen himself, and then quickly elementalized and flew out of the golden hand. Jackets ignored Crocodile, and quickly flew out of the palm of his hand. Rumble. Half of the Saboti archipelago seemed to be beating, the huge palm slapped on the ground, the surrounding crust all jumped up, and the cracks spread like a spider web. All kinds of soil and gravel pierced through the air, forming an overwhelming air pressure, which is very powerful and domineering to move everything around to flat ground. Crocodile and Jacket were all lifted out by the shockwave. When everything subsided, the goddess retracted her delicate hand, and a huge handprint appeared on the ground, looking terrifying. Captain. A group of pirates covered in front of them with their hands, and when the dust cleared, they all looked nervously towards the center of the battle. At present, the pirates in other mangrove areas almost all watched the goddess approaching from a distance. This thing is really too impactful. Giant race? Jacket stood up from the ruins, looked up, and his eyes were full of cold light. The other party was 10 times his size. He was already a giant at 5 meters tall, but compared to this golden woman, he was nothing short of a big deal. Even ordinary giants are not as tall as this guy. Stupid woman, do you know who I am? Jackets looked fierce and could feel a pressure. On the roof in the distance, Chaos was sitting in a chair drinking coffee, raising his left hand and pressing it lightly. The goddess raised her right hand again, tearing the air down in one fell swoop.
Court death. Jacket was furious. The 5-meter-tall body was soaring, scales appeared all over his torn shirt, and he transformed into an adult triceratops in the blink of an eye. The broad chest was spread with 10 packs of abdominal muscles, and a thick tail slapped on the ground. Time allowed cracks to spread on the ground in a radius of more than 30 meters.
This time he didn't hide, but grabbed the dragon's claws and dyed it armed, and slammed it into the golden palm with a roar. The difference in body size between the two is very large, but the breath that Jackets exudes is extremely violent. The captain used his abilities. Zone ancient species Triceratops form. This golden woman is just big, and it's not that the captain has never killed the giants. Sea kings who are bigger than this have been killed. The pirates are very confident in the Jackets. 50 meters looks very big, but compared with sea kings, they are simply ants. Rumble. The entire surface burst, and the dragon's claws and palms blasted against each other, and a shock wave spread in all directions, and huge cracks sprang out from it, and there were even pieces of crust around it. Jackets gritted his teeth and sank his feet into the ground. Obviously this palm was very uncomfortable. Get out of here. Jackets clenched the dragon's claws in his left hand, and smashed the golden palms of the covering arms in one fell swoop. This force actually caused the goddess to fly upside down. As the soil and gravel exploded, the Jacket sprang up and appeared in front of the goddess in one fell swoop, and the right claw was smashed out like a missile. A deafening metal sound rang out, and the 50-meter slender body of the goddess flew out, raising her body back more than 30 meters, and when she stood up, a fist mark appeared on her face. Is this the pirate offering a reward of 330 million? Too strong. All the pirates were shocked by the strength of Jackets. With such a big body, he was blown away with one punch. But the next moment came even more shocking. Because the sunken face of the goddess regained in the blink of an eye, it was still sacred and inviolable. And as the goddess raised her slender hand, the huge golden halo erected on her back flew across her head, and the roar of a golden iron horse quickly transformed into a 10-meter-long sword, gun, sword, and halberd, densely arranged in rows.
The face of the Jacket that landed on the ground changed in shock, and before he could even move his hand, he pointed down, and the sky broke and the ground broke, and the huge 18 weapons roared like a golden meteor shower.
Go. Stay away. Some of the pirates who watched the show changed their faces and moved away quickly. Even Crocodile, whose face is covered in blood, retreats with a look of shock at this moment. But he did not leave here, but continued to watch in a safe place. Boom. The entire site was bombarded wildly, just like a missile bombardment. The gravel and soil were all cracked and splashed. One after another mangroves broke and caused a large piece of gunpowder smoke. The weapon went deep into the ground, leaving behind a series of pits more than 10 meters in diameter. Wild dragon clash. Jackets rose again in the billowing smoke, and this time he aimed at the slender feet of the goddess. Go to hell. The infinite power was concentrated in the fist, and Jackets slammed on the huge knee in one fell swoop, and with the huge click, the calf broke off and flew away. Run. Where the calf fell, a large area of pirates was terrified, and the sun above their heads was blocked. As the golden calf smashed on the ground and rolled, the building complex of a street was turned into ruins. Among them, the Madara bloodline and corpses splashed up to more than 10.
You are not a real person. At the moment, Jacket's face is ugly. If this woman is a giant, her calf cannot be broken without bleeding. Looking at the gap, it is clear that she is still gold.
In other words, this 50-meter tall guy is just a puppet. Someone is controlling. Facing Jacket's inquiry, the goddess raised her right palm to a fan. Huh. The speed is so fast that even the afterimages cannot be seen. Jackets was like a volleyball being photographed. His mouth was bleeding and his face was full of pain. As the mangroves broke and collapsed, Jackets continued to roll and hit the ground, eventually spreading out a huge gully. Lying in the ruins at the end, Chunin couldn't help vomiting blood. Gold. It's all gold. This is not a body of flesh and blood. Is this a puppet? I want this calf. Don't grab anyone from me. At this moment, where the golden calf is, the pirates around are all blood red.
For this piece of golden calf, the minimum value is more than 5 billion Baileys.
And the gold material has been obviously refined. There is no impurities at all, and the smooth color is dark. 5 billion Baileys are estimated to be the lowest price.
But before the pirates were fighting, the golden calf flew into the sky and reconnected to the goddess.
At this moment, almost all of his greedy eyes turned to the goddess. This is a golden mountain, close at hand. Even Marine, stationed at number 60 to 69, was attracted, and a vice admiral was leading the team. Ding Kang Kang. The previous 18 weapons that went deep into the ground flew into the air, half of which formed several golden chains, which were generally kept intact and flew toward the Jackets like sharp arrows. Jackets fled the pit quickly, except that he looked a little embarrassed by spitting blood, and was not seriously injured. No matter whether it is the breath or other things, it hasn't weakened.
Zone, or the ancient species, is now reflected.
The Lion King Gappa, Madara Horsekiller, and Camel Tepieru who played against Chaos in Magic Valley are not of the same class. The entire area exploded again and again. In addition to quickly evading, Jackets was a weapon that flew over with a punch, as far as possible not to let the golden chain bind him. Master Vice Admiral, the captain of the 20th Fleet of the Flying Pirates, is offering a reward of 330 million ceratops. From a distance, Marine came, and they all looked at the 50-meter-high goddess in the sky with shock. They could also see it from the base, but now it is so subversive when viewed from a close distance. Perfect, sacred, and indispensable. Flying Pirates. Still a fleet captain. Vice Admiral frowned subconsciously. The Flying Pirates were a behemoth.